We're here. Good to see you. Good to see y'all joining us tonight.
Got to be one of those gremlins. If you look out the right wing, you'll see him.
Oh wait, that's the left wing. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, it's the left wing. Okay.
Yeah, blame it on the Matrix.
There
I'm
you
just
go.
glad.
Oh,
I'm just
The
glad
Billy-
somebody else gets them once in a while.
the Billy is among us.
Yeah.
Right.
Glad somebody else gets these gremlins once in a while. I know it's not fun, but it makes me feel good. 'Cause I usually get them. Lord only knows.
Yep.
I had a shop full of them this week.
Yeah. And I don't upgrade nothing, boy. If it works, don't touch it. I don't care if it's twice as fast or works better and gold plated at it. Don't touch it.
Exactly.
Mm.
I did get my laptop back, so that much is good.
Yeah, you're looking better, if we could say that. Yeah, I took my computer out of the shop and moved it to the living room because it was quite uncomfortable being in there right now. So, and I thought, man, what did I screw up? Nothing. Somebody else got to me. So, but it makes for an interesting week.
Long as you're comfortable, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Trying to get there. It's been one of those weeks. I had to go get an EEG because my seizures are back, and it's been a few years since they really got me crazy, and they're coming back. So I had to go to EEG. I went, it's a crazy thing. I went to the doctor yesterday, and I walk in to see the guy, and he snaps on the rubber glove and puts a little ointment on it. It says, "Bend over the table." I said, "I'm leaving." The brain ain't down. You might think it, but the brain ain't down there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they got it done. This really sweet little gal got it done for me today, and we'll know in a couple of weeks.
Did she put on the rubber glove?
No, I asked. I said, "Not today, big boy." She says, "Lay down and take a nap, and I'll put these pins on your head." She didn't have to tell me to take a nap twice. Boom! I was gone. She woke me up a few minutes later with these strobes and stuff. I know I've had these a couple of times since the tumor, but I don't remember them. And we had to travel through New Orleans to get there. I don't like going through New Orleans. I mean, there's bodies all over the place. It's hard to maneuver around them. We've exceeded last year's January kill rate already, and it's only 18 days into the month. And they stole
about that.
Yeah, they stolen over 400 cars in the first 18 days of the month. That's only in New Orleans.
Probably a couple thousand catalytic converters too.
Oh, it's ridiculous. They had 53 policemen quit since Christmas.
Not gonna get much better soon.
Nope.
No, they getting out of Dodge. I don't blame them get out of Dodge. Because they shooting each other. They're gonna run out of people and start popping the good guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think they'll run out of each other.
No, I don't either.
Just keep buying ammo.
Right. Yeah,
Amen.
gun control. Gun control. I got gun control. Yeah. Mine's right
Gotta
here.
steady my aim.
Talk to me
I
about
was-
gun control.
I was sitting in a parking lot this morning waiting on my wife to come up from something. And the whole time I was sitting there, I was nervous and looking around to see anybody walking around the parking lot. Yeah, you shouldn't have to live like that. You know?
No,
Right.
It's like
Hey,
being
Eddie, set me up for co-host, please.
Oh,
you already
I
did.
got
Look at
that.
that.
Yeah, Trace
You got
did
me.
that. Trace is in. I'm kind of out of the loop a little bit, but he's going to
Okay.
take care of getting all this done.
Got it.
Hey,
Tim
Dave,
Hatch says gun control is proper sighting. Yeah, you're right.
All right.
I practice gun control every time I go to the range.
yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Control is how to improve my aim.
Y'all see that?
I just step outside.
That's
I
not
don't know.
much.
Damn.
That ain't much, Dane.
That's a 20-inch shelf and it goes all the way back.
I see it bow down a little bit. It's bowed a little bit. You need to put another
it's bowed
support there.
down. You betcha.
Yeah.
I think you're running a little low there, Hoss.
I know I am.
buy
I got to
some-
get on the
I
ball.
buy some every month.
Well, I was talking online with some friends the other day, and gun control came up, and I said, I got one for you guys. I was in Vietnam. They didn't give us guns. The base I was on, we didn't get guns. Now,
Uh-oh.
you have to consider this. We're in Vietnam. We're on a primary base. But they say they're way over there. I'm sorry, but I kind of, I'm an ammo troop. I know this. If you just shoot up in that direction, in a little while, those rounds are to come down.
Right.
And it's ridiculous. We'd get cited for carrying knives.
What?
It was just, became a politician's war. Okay, we got to stop. I'm sorry. I crossed the line there. I just
Yeah.
crossed the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Charlie,
know what you mean, Dan.
Did everything like that. And then we have Lebanon and Beirut going on, and you got the Marines over there with guns, but no ammo and no clips.
no safety glasses. They went to a sand trap, no safety glasses. I got with a group and we bought 1,000 pair and shipped them over there. 4 weeks later, they came back undeliverable.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's what politician wars become that. And that's what we were. We're all pawns in a politician war. Oh, hey, I got a note from Charlie. And we went back and forth over this. I got to write it down. What do you think about the handles with the different contours to hold them? It dip down and got a knot and then dips down again and you got a knot, or, got a profile, a couple of dip profile. So Charlie, here's the deal. People can turn the wood for centuries. Ain't a damn one of them had a contoured handle. It ain't. And say you got a 3 or 4 foot handle, that's ridiculous. You may need it because you're not strong or you're trying something goofy. Don't try anything goofy. Do y'all have contoured handles?
I don't know what you
Handles
mean
for
by,
what?
I don't know what you
Yeah, I
mean by
don't know.
contoured handle.
Charlie, what do you mean?
I mean, whatever fits your hand and makes it comfortable.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
Eddie
yeah.
might be talking about them ones like on Easy Tools with the 2 steps in them. I just rather have a straight handle that's comfortable.
Yeah, me too.
Little
Yeah, this is-
flare on the bottom end so it don't slide out of your paws and go from there.
Yeah, sort of like this. Can you see it? Okay. They got that bumper to
Yeah.
groove and
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
no.
I don't.
Yeah, that's
I'd
Well,
rather
fight
have
for
it
the
completely
tendons.
straight.
That's bad for the tendons in your hand because you're holding it. You're holding it at a different rate, different grip strength.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the funny part. The part where you need the grip, it's the smallest part of the handle. It's
Right?
no wood turner ever designed that.
Nope.
I showed my scrapers where I sanded the back off of them, and I really like that on a scraper. That fits your hand. You can tell which way up the scraper is.
Well, when I'm turning handles, well, mine look pretty much like traditional tool or lathe tool handles,
Right.
but they're different lengths depending on what I'm doing. But I turn them until I like how it feels in my hand and I'm done.
Exactly.
There you go.
Turn it
Exactly.
a little bit and then you take it off the lathe and you put it in your hands and you know, if you're doing a bowl gouge and it's going to be long,
Yep.
you put it down in that position like it's going to be used and you test it out. You know, you give it a test drive to see how it feels. And if it's too fat at the front, you know, throw it back on,
Skinny
shave
it
that
down.
down, and then work your way back to the back.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
like to have it a little larger on the front and a little larger on the back end. You know, for me, of course, I got big mitts.
I like it a little bigger on the back because I put it against my hip.
Exactly. Well, especially if it's if it's a hogging tool, you know,
Yeah.
you got your big bowl gouge, or you got if you're doing a long handle for your spindle roughing gouge that you plan on roughing out a big piece of wood. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you have to, if it's going to have a particular use, go ahead and tune it in, make it a particular use. But,
Right.
you know, I always get this thing about what do we do about, getting material to make handle? What do you make them out of? An old trick one of my mentors told me was go to Home Depot and buy replacement handles for a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, that's
There's-
one way.
That'll
They're
work.
straight.
Yeah.
They're straight grained, and guess what? When you grab them, they're right.
Yep.
You know, and if nothing else, they're too big. So you cut it and you feel it, and if you think, oh, I got to get this, chuck it up and modify it. Put a ring, put a capture on it, and everything. It's good to know you don't have to go out and buy. You have to buy the handles. You have to buy wood in particular to make handles, and you can get 3 or more handles out of a wheelbarrow handle. You tell somebody that, and they go to Home Depot and they got those composite
Yeah.
material handles. Okay, get out of the big box store and go someplace like a Real Hardware.
I found that if you buy the old fashioned shovel or hole digger handles, auger handles,
Post
them
hole.
make great handles.
Post hole digger.
Hickory.
I've used.
Or if you got wood, you just
Yeah.
yourself, you know, a section, you know, 2-inch square and get after it.
I've used poplar. I've used mesquite. I've used oak. I've used all kinds of stuff for handles where they work
And you
great.
got some nice wood. I like that.
Same here. Yeah.
You got nice wood, Billy. You sharing?
Sure, I got plenty of oak.
Hey,
I got a
speaking of
pile of
sharing, Eddie, did you get a chance to read my email from either late yesterday or this morning?
No, I hadn't seen it.
Can't remember. So I said, well, I'll just throw it out there then. So it's been brought to my attention by one of our members if we could have a barter section on our webpage
Smart
or
idea.
bartering wood back and forth or whatever else that one may have that somebody else is game for.
You know, your email just popped up in my.
Well, we can try doing that if anybody has a suggestion on how we'd like to do it. I mean, we can certainly let anybody put in a message on a message board if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
You know, let me jump on board with that for a second. I like
Yeah.
that idea, Dave. I don't want us to open it for commercial business.
no, absolutely
No.
not. It's not going to be
No.
for selling stuff. No
Nope.
sales.
Be like a place you could
Yeah,
post.
no sale.
I'm looking for such and such, you know?
Right. Or I have this.
Yeah.
And willing that, you know, you know, and, you know, further on down the line, you know, you've got something, you send it back to me, you know, so.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely no sales or hawking whatever. Nothing. Don't want any of that.
No, I
No, I
just
got,
recently,
I,
I
For
just
trade
recently-
items.
Yeah, I watched a guy turn a piece and it was some pepper wood that was just beautiful. And I said, you know, or he made a comment in his description in his video there that it grew like a weed where he lived. I said, well, I don't have any. How about we trade a medium size flat rate box? So next thing I know, I've got pepper wood in my shop, and I'm sending him some pear. So you know, it works out great when you do stuff like that.
Awesome.
So Scott's on board here. So Scott, let me
Yeah, I'm running back and
spotlight you
forth.
so you can. Do you feel like talking about it?
Yeah, can you hear me, Dane?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Can you see me or not?
I see you
Gotta
now.
find the right.
See
Gotta find the
Galaxy,
right
now I'm
computer.
seeing Billy.
Yeah, I'm right here,
I got
waving at you. I'm on my tablet. My computer decided to crash today.
you. Oh, okay, I got you.
I can't spotlight anybody, Trace. Do you have the capability to do that?
I'll get him
I
here.
don't even know what it's showing me as, Dane.
Huh?
It's showing you as
Galaxy
Galaxy Tab S2.
Oh,
That's me. Same thing as the other day, Dane. There we go.
Yeah.
So Dane and I were talking the other day about this when he was helping me trying to get ready for my demo tonight. I have some stuff that I'm willing to trade, but I don't want money for it because I didn't pay for it either. I got it for free. So I'm willing to trade with anybody that wants to trade for something I might have. I don't want this to be a cash thing. I just want it to be a straight up trade, what you think it's worth to you.
I like that idea. In fact, I like it a lot. And if we condition it like that, and Dave Rose is going to look into it, if we condition it like that, it's excellent because when I got back in the shop a while back, I wanted to make a cane, and Tim Hatch sent me some gorgeous wood for making a cane. In fact, Tim, I hadn't forgot it. I have it between points and roughed, or had it between points and roughed out when I had to stop. So, you know, it's on the list to get back in there.
Glad
Hey,
I could
guys.
help you out, Eddie. That's,
Hey,
you know, and that's a great idea, a little message board or something. I know, you know, I was looking for a hollowing tool and Birdhouse Bob came up on the net in between us and, you know, I was able to get a used one from him. So I think it's really beneficial, something like that. Because, you know, we don't all have access to big box stores nor do we want to get to it. And I've got wood that I pick up, you know, on the ground, et cetera, and like everybody else. So that might be a great idea.
If they have them, I got to drive 60 miles to the closest one of those tool shop things. And he's really not a great tool shop. He's a great tool shop, but he's a great tool shop for joiners and planers and big saws and things like that. But yeah, his selection of turning tools is very limited and not of the quality that most of our turners look for. I really do believe when you buy it, buy good. Because if you've seen it, you understand how it works, and you take a good hard look at it, and it's condition is that when it comes from the manufacturer, it's not necessarily sharp the way you want it to be sharp. In fact, it's not even necessarily sharp. So you look at it and figure out how it's going to work, and you make adjustments for what you want to do. I've taken a couple of square point scrapers and rounded the end and sharpened up the side to make a slide scraper to slide down the inside of a box and put a little rounded corner in the bottom and then dress it off. So I'm pushing it to end grain to slice it off, which is a great way. And then I can make a quick and easy pass. I don't get that dip in the middle because I'm not trying to turn a gouge in the bottom of it. You know, if you know how to use a bottom feeder and pass it on how to arc it out, that's fine. But if you have this other one, it's very versatile. And I mean, mine is made out of a Craftsman from Sears. They had 2 scrapers on the whole rack of tools. They had just 2 scrapers left, and I bought them both. And it's a 1-inch round and a 1-inch square. And a 1-inch square, I took that corner off and modified it and sharpened it on the side. I've had people in for lessons to say, "What happened to your scraper?"
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, it got changed to work. And if you're not doing that, if you're a new turner, you're not doing that, consider it. That's somebody else's thought about how that tool can work. If you don't know how to ride a bevel, if you don't know how to sharpen one properly, if you just have a problem with hand-eye coordination, they call it continuity. If you had a problem with continuity, and a lot of us aged folks have that problem, it takes a lot of the guesswork out because you line it up and it doesn't make that noise. Goes right down the side and cleans it all up.
Eddie,
Go ahead, Scott.
I'll throw it out there. I have 400 or more piano leg seconds. So most of them are 1.5 by 1.5 square. If anybody wants to email me or get a hold of me, I believe I got email in my contact list on the website. They can contact me and we'll work something out.
Is it mahogany or walnut?
It's maple. So when you make piano legs for, I had a friend that had a company that made piano legs for Steinway and Yamaha. And the only thing that they would accept is straight grain wood. It couldn't have any curl, no knots, no defects, no nothing. So when they ripped these boards, if it had curly grain in it, it got chucked. So
Isn't that crazy?
I got a whole bunch of it. They burned it. They burned it for fuel to heat their building. And when I seen that, I just about cried because it's all hard maple.
Wow.
I was gonna suggest doing just like Scott just did. How about we just make it a part of the weekly, if you have something, that way you can actually show a picture of it. And if anybody is interested in it, then contact you through the chat or something.
I got a good name for it. You could put a headline up there that says, "Got wood?"
That's brilliant, Billy.
Got
Billy,
wood, let's talk.
Yeah, Billy, do all the folks in Houma have that kind of sharpness?
Fresh coffee.
Gosh, I hope it don't offend anyone. Got wood.
Yeah, that'll set off the same people that the crotch, show me your crotch thing did.
Well, let's not start that now.
So if somebody wants to highlight me, I can show you what I got.
Yeah, okay.
He's got wood.
I got wood.
Got wood. He's got a wood.
So if you can see
Oh,
this.
I like that.
Oh, that's
This is
beautiful.
curly. This is what they're throwing away.
That's crazy,
my-
ain't it?
That's a big piece. That's 4 by 6.
It's 1.5 inches, and it varies from anywhere from 10 inches long to 20 inches long.
Oh, it's 1.5 inches. It looks bigger than that for some reason. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
why.
does.
I'm sitting
right
right
up
on
against the
top of my
camera.
camera in my shop.
Oh,
So.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But I mean, it would make nice
Looks
boxes,
good.
nice finials, whatever you want to do. I make
Yeah.
snowmen out of some of it.
You can laminate it. Oh my God.
Laminate it.
Yep.
Make
Yep,
handles
anything.
out of it. We started talking about handles. You can get crazy, do a handle. My most favorite handle is one I have on my 3/8 inch swept back gouge, and it's Cocobolo. Okay, I was rich at that time. I could afford the Cocobolo. I found this piece at a lumber yard, and it was all chalked up and dirty and leaning against the wall. And I asked the guy, "How much is that?" And he says, "Oh, I don't know. You want it? Go ahead and take it."
Wow.
I didn't tell him you clean this off. It was 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 and about 25, 30 inches long. I still have the drop because I'm not going to use a 30-inch handle. I still have the drop. It's about 5 or 6 inches long. And I always thought I'd make a little detail to a lot of it, like Cindy Drozda has those little, she's got a name for them, the little bitty sharp thing that you can do fine details with. I have one.
Her vortex tool.
Vortex tool or whatever it is.
Yeah. Vortex
She has a
tool.
She has a detail gouge too that does that really well.
Yeah, she gave me the vortex gouge probably 8, 9 years ago at SWAT. And I had something similar from, I don't know the big brand name. And it didn't have the capability of being really sharp. It was not made of high grade steels, tool steel or anything like that. And so it's back there. One day I'll put a handle on it because it's so cool when you're doing things like bottle stoppers, small jars, lids. Somebody's been showing those medallions that are turned about 1.5 inches. Well, let me measure. About 1.5 inches in diameter. And they're sort of flat. And you turn them around and then you move it offline and you put a swipe through it and you turn it offline another way and you put a swipe in and you get these nice detailed grooves in it. And it's really cool. I saw some on Etsy the other day made by one of our members. He did that on the face of them. Then on the back, he concaved them and he put a reflective paint on it. And I've seen that paint. You folks have shown that paint. And I'm thinking Bob Moffat has shown it, and maybe Doug Miller has shown this paint that kind of dances. Iridescent. Here you go. One with the high school, they call it sparkly. But he put that on one side. See, give that to a little girl, and it's got special features to it. You know, it always move around and always give you a great show. And maybe one day we'll get somebody to give us a demo on it, because it's a simple project, but holding it is an education. How do you hold it? And if you're in a business that Matt's in, and there's a handful of you. I would have to run down a list for an hour to run all the folks that peddle things or sell things at markets. And you say, I turn out 100 of these, 50 of these and all that. This is where the drops go. Like Kim Tippin said, there's no scrap wood, they're just pieces that have been turned. And out of a piece of 1x material, you can look at the size. You're talking 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And put your chuck away. You don't need a chuck.
Right.
And that's what we should talk about.
And you can do things like paint the grooves or put that gold leaf paint in them, or there's a lot of things you could do with them.
Yeah.
I had some of that paste wax like that was colored. I got that from Cindy also. And I probably got 10 different colors of it back there. And you rub it in and you let it set up a little bit, and then you take one of those Scotch-Brite type pads and buff off the majority of it. You got the highlight, you have the backdrop of it in the wood, and then you got the highlight in the grooves. It makes for a really nice thing. And a warning, make them different colors. Kids are crazy about different colors. I'd like to have one, but I gotta have one that's a light pink.
Here's my card.
Yeah, it's like a lady, she bought 2 bowls off me of what.
On Ruth Niles' site, she sells what they call a joiner jig, and I'll go hunt up the link here in a minute. But that lets you do those things. That lets you turn things off center and then change them really quickly. Those medallions, and that's what it's geared to do.
Yeah, but Ruth Niles' company is ran by an outlaw out west.
Yep.
You know about that, huh?
Yeah, Carl Jacobson now owns it. Yeah, he must have got fed up or something.
Yeah, I'm believing he stole it from her. That's what I'm believing.
She's
the
never
offer
been
was out
happier
there,
to be rid of
and
it.
I passed on it. But the guy that makes that jig, he was sort of copying one that was made before that was confusing about where the numbers and offsets and all were. His name is Paul Holmes. He's out of right above St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah.
You lost him.
Lose them?
Oh,
Really,
lose Eddie?
really quiet.
Lost
I think
somebody.
we lost Eddie.
What if I could teach my wife
he'll
that
be
trick?
back.
That's a neat trick.
He'll be
He's
back.
back, but he's muted.
Now,
Oh,
now,
Eddie,
now I'm
unmute
talking again. All right.
Okay.
His name is Paul Holmes, and he makes most of the stoppers that, or all the stoppers that's sold by Ruth Niles' business. And he's an excellent machinist. You're not going to find Paul cutting the corner anywhere. And he modified that joiner jig, Joyner jig, to have a better, is better to understand how the offsets are and work. And the new ones outweigh the older ones. And he's got some nifty gizmos to go on it. You know, different backup plates that'll index easily. So you have it spinning a quarter inch out of concentric, and you want to move it over a little bit, or you or whatever. Two little bitty types thumb screws. You turn the indexing wheel and put it back in, and nothing else on the machine changes. Just that, and it's instant thing. They're beautiful little detail, and you can do auto stoppers on them because I have one that's got the 3/8 16 stud, and I can screw the bottle stoppers on it. I put on the pieces that Ruth sells to have a stopper, and you can decorate the top of it. And if you're really good, I'd like to send one of these to Bob Moffett to play with the texture tool, because that would be killer. Really would. Texture is something else. Texture not centered is a whole new ball game. And take something like that. So what happens where you get off the center? No, texture it before you put it down the center. You know, texture it when it's still a rep piece. Put a convex cave face on it and texture it out, and then cut away to it. That's
Yep.
That's how I think it'd be. It's like holding something in those little discs I was talking about. How do you hold them? You know, my trick is double stick tape. I make a block. I have a block on an old faceplate, and it's got a stem on it, and I've cut it concave, slightly concave, and I put a little shoulder on it on the front edge of it. So I can hold in a concave, but I can hold against the shoulders. And I can put that block up there, and within a minute or two, I can be cutting on it. And the problem with that tape is getting it off the tape. So you make that block, you put a relief groove in it so you can stick your freedom bar in there and move it out. Because that's that blue sure tape. And boy,
One of the ways to get that tape off of there is put blue painter's tape on it first, and then put the painter's tape and then the double-sided tape to the painter's tape.
oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. Where that came from.
That's
right.
me, Eddie. That's me.
Yeah. You see, that's
This
what
is-
I'm talking about.
Yeah, this was done
could
with a
be-
joiner jig and then filled with brass powder and CA glue.
Nice. Nice.
That's
And that
beautiful.
is one center point, one offset, and you got
Then you move it around. I
5.
think I did this six, maybe 7 circles. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's you index it out to get to that. And that is,
Then you just move it around. It's a pretty good deal.
yeah. And if you're looking for something, and remember, if you do these craft shows, you have to have a lower market item. You have to have something to make them put their brakes on. That's what I think.
Yep,
If
bread
you
and
put the
butter.
brakes in,
Bread and butter, booth fee stuff.
Impulse. Yep.
Yeah. And that way you at least pay your rent, you know. A guy named Larry Zara, it's I think the Gulf Coast Turners. I went to one of his sales at a place across the lake from us, and he had finger tops, a bucket of finger tops, and just odds and ends. And he had a tray, like a plate with a high edge on it. And he'd just spin them and show them to the kids. And the kids come up, he would get a buck, maybe 3 out of those finger tops. He had his rent made in the first 2 hours, you know, but he got him to stop, and his high quality stuff was walking with it. And it was a great idea. I liked it.
Yeah, you got to, if you do that at a show, you got to provide an arena, you know, like a big bowl or something, either something you've made or something else, and put like 4 or 5 tops in there and just let the kids spin it. And the kids come over to spin the tops, and they bring the parents with them to look at the rest of the stuff.
Oh yeah, you got them on hook. All you got to do is reel them in.
Yep, yep.
Really.
And big kids like me will just play with the tops. So
I want to see if I get them snap up and flip over, you know.
I got one right here. I got one. I use it as a fidget spinner. So it's like
I used to carry one in my brief bag when I was working. Same thing, you know, and if you're in a meeting and it's going slow, you take that out and spin it, and you'll get all the attention. If you want their attention, just spin that top a few times, and they're all, hey, what's he doing? And then you can jump on board. You know, Billy, you got something like that? I see Billy rooting.
I'm
digging in the box back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's a little different than that. Mine's a basketball goal.
Oh. Well, that'll make them stop. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, my management has been involved. It's all
organized, huh?
Yes, it's organized.
I
want to complain when you go to a craft fair and mom comes and she helps you. You can't complain.
Oh no, you don't challenge free labor.
No.
A lot of folks give me the credit for that management term because I used it doing YouTubes a long time ago. You know, I don't want to say my wife told me to do this. Management told me to do this. It rings better if with my man heart. You know, you don't want to get thrown out of the man club. So, but if you look at those disc, it might be a fun little way to do it. But you know, I got up to the disc, but I got sidetracked. The way I'm talking about holding them and shaping them and everything, think what you can apply that to. Box tops, box bottoms, finishing the bottom on a box, you turn and you just part it off. How do you hold it and line it back up? You see, that technique works for so many things. Thank you, Trace, for the thing about the blue tape. You told me that before, and I just forget about it. Because it'll come off the blue tape, but that Sure Stick or Sureline blue double stick tape, you can get on Amazon. If you go wood to wood and you put some pressure on it, let it sit 5 minutes, you got to say a little prayer before you try to get it off, because it's on there. And for the sake of your turning, don't use a big piece. You don't need a big piece. And if you have a problem getting it off, if you don't mind losing some fingerprints, yeah, you can spin it a little bit on the lathe and grab it and pull it off. But you look like you're in a witness protection service after a while. Does he have any fingerprints? No, he's a wood turner. Hey, remember, we have some challenges, some gallery challenges coming up. Show me your crotch. You okay, Brenda? Can we do this?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Show Me Your Garage is due for February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. We have eggs planned for Easter, gnomes for St. Patty Day, cannons on July 4th, and Ronald B. sent me something in a private email, a private chat the other day. I hadn't thought about plates, platters, or disc. And I have a good friend that he in his new house, he put a beautiful mantle up, and he wanted to put things on the mantle, but he made it too narrow to put large pieces on. So he decided he was going to go ahead and make some platters to go up there. And I went by his shop and by his house one day, and he had 4 or 5 that were maybe 5.5, 6 inches round. I said, "Oh, you started with small saucers." He said, "No, I started with big platters. I'm learning how to not go through the bottom of them." But he had a nice collection of them. Hey, if you got a little gallery tonight, we can do a little gallery if you choose.
No one yet.
All right, I have a new edition of the newsletter, about 18, so we're about halfway through. Already have over 100 photographs in it. So you turners are doing a good job at sending me pictures of your work, really are. And you can email them to worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com, or you can send them to Dave Rhodes at through our website, worldwidewoodturners.org, and we share back and forth, and we'll put them in there, put them in a newsletter. And that is, if it comes off the computer, not being printed, it comes, you look at it on the computer, you see it in color, and it's in a PDF format. You can zoom in and look at the pieces. And if you're lucky enough to have a color printer that does that kind of detail, you can print out a couple of them. Make sure you print out the page you're on. Okay. But we like doing that.
We got some gallery folks now chiming in.
Jump in there, bud.
All right. Well, let's go to Charlie Bundy.
Yes, sir.
Charlie.
I'm here.
We got you.
We'll start out with the simple stuff. I was making snowmans.
Oh, look at that hat.
I like,
This is
I'm looking at the nose. I thought it was a knot he had left in there, but it's
no,
not. He
it's the
put a real
nose.
nose in it.
The
Cute.
wife liked the grain in these, just plain old pine 2x4s glued together and then turned. She liked the grain. She ain't painting that one.
Mhm.
And she, off of the same piece, made a tree.
Cute.
very nice.
Nice tree. Nice snowman, a nice tree.
And I
Yeah.
had to, given a bunch of my birdhouses away, I had to make more. I made
Oh.
another duplex.
I
Yeah.
like,
It's a nice duplex. Looks good.
Looks like twins in it too.
Pardon?
Looks like twins
Yep.
in it.
Bought 2 packages of birds, isn't it? So we could have some of the same ones on.
There you go.
And once I set up, I made 5 or 6 of them. So
Yeah, just 5 or 6.
yeah, only 5 or 6.
And just make one, huh?
No. And then so those that would complain I'm being discriminative, we got one for the indigenous people. And
Oh.
then we made some boxes.
Ooh.
I like that.
Nice.
I'm trying to, what does it say on the bottom of it? This one is old.
Charlie is spending a lot of time in the garage this week.
Well, I didn't do anything for almost 3 weeks because of the weather.
Mhm.
My shop gets cold up here in Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's beautiful, Charlie.
Whoa.
Love it. Oh, don't break it. Don't break it.
Yeah.
Nice job, Charlie.
You break them when they fly
then-
off the lathe.
This one's apple.
Ring box.
Pretty.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Ready.
Does it snap?
You're fixing
Oh
that.
yeah, that one popped real good.
Me
You know how
neither.
to sell those, right? You know how to sell those? You ask a woman
give
if she's
'em away.
married. If a woman's not married, you tell her you buy this box and you take it home and you put it on your counter. And every day you open it up and see if a ring is in it. And eventually one day there's a ring going to come in that box.
Oh,
That's how I sell mine.
That's just flat out sneaky. That's just-
then
Got some funny women down there in Louisiana then.
I hadn't found anybody that gullible. Come on.
Oh, nice.
I like that one. Like
Cool
the
shape.
They're
It's a
pretty.
bud
missing
box.
one.
It's a bud box.
and he's not done yet. Uh-oh, they're getting big. They're getting big.
He brings in a wheel,
Later when I
hand
find
truck.
it. That's all I got then.
It was nice
Nice.
stuff.
Nice.
Nice
Charlie.
stuff.
Very nice.
Very nice, Charlie.
Yep, thank
Very
you.
nice.
Nice, Charlie.
All right. Thanks,
Charlie was talking about it was cold in the shop. Billy Burton, I can tell you, it's cold in our shop. I mean, it got up to almost just at 79 degrees today. Billy, how'd you make it? How'd you make out, Billy? I see the door
talking
open
in the
behind you.
negatives.
I was,
72 at my house.
I was doing just fine. My shop's heated and air conditioned. So
My shop's
79
heated, but it never gets
degrees.
caught up. And the air conditioning
that-
means I open the garage door.
I don't think
My-
I don't
My
think my
shop's
shop's
got
been.
heat in it, but when it starts going way below zero, can't keep up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
Mine's the same way, Charlie.
We had about
Yeah,
16
you're
hours.
in the same temperature zone I am.
Oh,
my
not
heater
the same,
on.
buddy.
I got my heater on me right now.
We had about 16 hours below 20 last month, and I don't think my shop ever got below 16. So we're all right.
I came out one morning a couple weeks ago and my shop was like 15.
Oh,
I would try and walk
Yeah, I
back
turned
up.
the heater on and went inside for a half hour.
ouch.
Yeah,
I tell you what, I don't like
I got the
I don't like
AC
the
on and
update on
on
this.
right now.
Well,
Matt, you gotta get a
All right.
pellet stove.
as
Matt,
long as I'm up. I'm
Well,
not
that's
up
that's
anymore.
why I spam to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. As long as I'm up, I have answered the question. The question was asked, about my multi-axis turning, when I did the 3 axes, actually 4, because you got to do the center too. The question was asked, well, what about those other points? Can you do 6? And the answer to that is why, yes, you can. If the piece is big enough, if you make it much smaller, this is about 3 inches across. If you make it much smaller, yeah, I don't know that it would be as visible, and there's not much of this left that's visible because a combination of how brittle this ash juniper is and stupidity on my part and mistakes requiring numerous design changes. This is what we ended up with, but it's nice on the inside. Let me see if I can get some light in there. But it's nicely finished. I've just got this finished with Howard's Feed and Wax and not Howard's Feed and Wax. Axe abrasive paste followed by Axe polish and restoring paste. It was all one piece. The finial was turned out of the top. I did texture the lid.
Very
Oh, nice.
And it's hard to tell, but I put some Hampshire Sheen blue embellishing wax in to highlight and I don't know, it turned greenish for one reason or another.
Yeah, it looks green to me.
And
means the yellow in the wood is combining with it,
that's what I'm guessing because of
or
the
the finish or something.
well, something, maybe the yellowish browns or the oils from the juniper, for all I know.
Looks great
But-
green.
But it's not perfect, but it was a proof of concept piece. I'm planning on doing another one, maybe with some twists in it, out of a piece of live oak. We're going to find out.
Did you do a video on that, Billy?
I did. I haven't edited
Cool.
it yet. I just finished this today.
Look forward to
Gorgeous.
seeing it.
Cool.
That's all I
Thanks,
got.
Billy. Right on. All right, next up, let's go to
Roger.
Roger.
Okay, I did some turning today or this week, and I turned a walnut bowl. And I got it all finished, but then it cracked. See if I can get it. There it is.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it crack.
And
Long
I don't know
one.
whether I should do anything with it or just let it be.
Let it be.
I'd let it be.
But when I turn this, I cord it, save the other piece, and I made another small bowl.
Nice.
I seen that on Facebook earlier, I think.
Huh?
I seen that on Facebook earlier, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah.
But now if you look, I made a funnel out of it.
Uh-huh. Matching the bottom. Uh-huh.
I liked that you crossed the grain.
Did you
Really,
match the, did you funnel it out with the coring system or not?
No, I did it. My last cut on the inside, I went through the bottom.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Did you have very much trouble with the coring system? I've
only used it a couple times, and I've had it for like 10 years. But it's a the one that's made in New Zealand.
Oh, McNaughton.
No, the
Woodcut.
Woodfast.
Woodcut.
Woodcut, yeah.
So.
Yeah, but as small as it is.
What's that?
Uh-oh, my mic on?
You're on now.
No, it's somebody else talking.
I'm done, so.
Right on.
It's pretty work,
Thanks,
Roger. Pretty work.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's head back up to New York.
There he is.
And we've already got him spotlighted.
Oh, that must be me. I was rummaging around the shop this week and found a piece of cherry. Thought, why not?
Eat.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Pretty piece of wood.
Yeah. Wish you could see that.
There you go, right there.
Pretty shiny. What kind of finish is on that?
It's got some sanding sealer and then carnauba wax.
Beautiful.
I sand it up to almost 1,000 usually.
Very nice.
Nice.
It kept me busy for a few hours.
I bet.
Oh, just for a few hours, huh?
Well, I'm working on a bunch of pens, which are a royal pain in the backside, I think. And I need something once in a while to succeed at.
Break the monotony. Break the
Something to
monotony.
succeed at once in a while is always nice.
Right. Definitely. Well, thanks for sharing, Dave.
Oh,
all right. Let's go over to Pennsylvania. Hey, Randy.
Hi, everybody. Let me share my screen. Boom, 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 boom. And we were at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. I'm going to go back to the beginning of this. This was when we were setting up, and a couple of the people in our wood turning club. We're sponsored by the Hardwood Council of the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, and so we get a booth there and we turn various wooden items. We have a display case in the back where we display items, and we demonstrate wood turning to the public that comes in. This year, the farm show set several attendance records. And at one point, they actually closed all the parking lots. The parking lots were full. So, and of course, they sell milkshakes, several different flavors. This was one of the demonstrators that was here, and we had a crowd around whenever we were turning. People seemed to be fascinated by the fact you could take wood and make something out of it. This is Tom White, our program director of our club. And in the background is Tim Starlipper, who's the president of our club.
No.
And all the wood that we use was donated to us by the Woodcraft in Harrisburg.
No, no, no.
Now, I'm going to try, for Safety Sue's edification, I'm going to try to zoom in and see if I can do this. Everybody see that little dinge in the top rail of the safety shield? The president of the former president of our club launched a piece off the lathe, hit that edge of the safety shield. It went up, hit the ceiling, which is about a 20-foot high ceiling, and landed in the next booth.
Oh my God.
No one was injured.
Thank heavens.
Lucky.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
yeah, it was lucky, but that's why we use the safety shield. And
So what was he turning?
he was turning a bowl at the time.
6 inches or smaller?
It was a little larger than that.
And apparently he was turning it very, very fast.
Yeah, he must have been turning it extremely fast then.
He had just started on the outside of it, and it had a lot of weight. So
Yeah, he was turning it fast
kind of
with the
pried it.
elevation like that.
He kind of pried it out of the chuck draws. So
Wow.
Tailstock helps for that too.
for everybody's
Yes.
amusement, the butter sculpture. 1,000 pounds of butter.
Nice. Fry the eggs up in that one.
And this was a demonstration, a big stack of board lumber. And here's some more people who were standing around watching us turn. This is Don Deppen. He's a member of our club. I believe he is now 95.
God bless him.
And he's making tops.
Lord willing, I'll be turning when I'm 95.
Yeah.
Hear that. And that's Troy. That was our former president of our club. That picture didn't come out too well. And that's our club lathe, which has a couple of problems. So other than that, that's it.
All right.
What's its problem?
So
Hey, thanks, Randy.
yeah, we had a good time. We enjoy ourselves there.
Oh,
Right
we've
on.
done that we did
Thanks
that
for
for 3 or
sharing.
4 years and picked up a lot of members from it.
We always pick up 3 or 4 or 5 new members every year doing this.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of
Great.
people that we refer. We tell them because people come from all over Pennsylvania. It's a big deal here in Pennsylvania. And people come from New York, from Virginia, from Ohio, from Maryland, and they come up and they ask, where can I learn to do wood turning? And we point them at the AAW website, tell them to go there and search in your state for a wood turning club, because there's no better way to learn how to do it than to go to a wood turning club, say, hey, can you show me? And any wood turner will be willing to show you. So,
Hey, Randy, what part of PA are you at?
South Central, Harrisburg.
Okay, nice. I'm originally from Pittsburgh.
I go skiing in Europe, and people ask me where I am. I'm at Harrisburg. Where? Pennsylvania. Where? PMI.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, that was it.
All
Thank you,
right,
Randy.
thanks, Randy. All right, let's go to Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hey, I wanted to do here, let me do a screen share here. We were talking about chucks. I'll show some pieces later, but
There you go.
this is an offset chuck made out of a piece of ash, I think. But this goes into, I should have showed this the other way around. Wait a minute. That's the indexing center. You take two jaws out of your chuck and you put this block in there. And this is your offsetting part. And this is your indexing part. This costs you nothing. There's no screws. All you do is tighten the chuck. It grabs everything. Okay.
Wow.
I
making
Yeah, I
that.
like that. That's a nice jig.
I'm making that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got my screen shares.
Yeah. That's a number 2 jaw, one way Talon chuck. But that grabs everything. You just got to make sure your jaws line up each time with where you want to be. But when you put a piece on here, use double stick tape and hold a tool rest against it with a pencil and draw a ring around it, kind of figure out where you're at, because you can put a lot of rings around here trying to figure out where you're at, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you just slide that block.
You slide this back and forth.
Up and back and forth in the jaws.
This is 0 right here.
That is.
This is 0.
I'm making
What
one
a
of those.
great idea.
I'm making one of those tomorrow.
Good. I thought you'd like that, Well, the nice part is there's no screws and there's screwing around with indexing holes and all that stuff, You can make big ones too if you want one 6 inches in diameter. You just need bigger jaws, that's all. But that works great.
Okay, question, Charlie. Mr. Duxbury,
Yeah.
Jim, whatever your name is. I'll get it right in a minute.
I've been called that. Go ahead.
Why the indexing on the round part?
Once you've got it indexed sideways or your offset, then you can turn this and do different. You do the index design in any of these other quadrants.
Okay.
Just about what Matt showed us a little while ago.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that on your real easy. And these are my designations. You could make whatever you want as far as that, but I'd like to say I could tell you how to do it, but you have to, like I said, use the pencil and draw some rings, because as soon as you think you know how to do it, you'll screw up the next one hands down. But this gives you the offset. I think. Well, this is 90 degrees, so this is 30-degree offsets here. So if you wanted to do, you wanted to offset something like 3 of them, you would index this 60 degrees. So you bring this up to here. Once you did a circle on here that's offset, you could bring this up to here and you've offset. Don't move this back and forth. You got to keep this in the same place. But move this. Just turn this part.
Okay, so this outer circle here is not centered on the circle on the backside that's holding it.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is, sir. Yeah.
Right now it's showing in the 0 position, the center position.
Here's what it is. This is what it looks like.
Okay.
And this is it clamped. But this part is the offset.
Right.
And this part is the indexing. So once you've got this offset, you can index this. You can put a circle here, and then you can put a circle here, and you can put a circle here.
I got you.
In other words, Jim, just say, thinking there's a piece of wood coming away from that, and that's what you're turning, and and that is turning. So you would be on dead center on the tailstock, and you would make your turns with that, right?
Right now, you're at zero. You're at zero here.
Right
You're
now,
at zero
at
here.
zero.
In horizontal and in indexing, you're at zero everywhere. This center's going right to
Your
the middle.
center.
Yeah.
So Jim, would you then attach a piece you were turning to that block with that circular block in the middle?
The double stick tape, yeah.
Right,
Okay,
right. You know,
got it,
8
got it.
inches, 12 inches, whatever you want. And then you, so the, at the tailstock end, you will always be center. Unless, well, no, I guess unless you want to change it to tailstock also, yes.
You know,
That's
you can
the-
index this sideways.
Right,
You
right,
can move
right,
the
right.
center off a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or anything you want. I don't remember what these are. These are 1/4 inch increments, I think. But sometimes I go halfway in between it or whatever else.
That's a nice idea. Really nice idea, Jim. Thank you.
Works great.
Very nice.
In fact,
I'm with Billy. I'm going to my shop, make one tomorrow.
Yeah,
in fact,
I am.
On my next one, I think when I hit the zero position, I'm going to put a block up here to block that. So when you want to put it in at zero, you could just put this in the jaws and bring that block down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Sure, to get it back to zero.
To the jaw, you mean a stop that
Right
stops
here.
at the jaw?
I would,
put a stop.
I put a stop block on here or something.
Got it.
Or it could even be an adjustable stop block, but they put you at zero right away. And if you had that, then you could, rather than use this stuff, you could measure from here to wherever that is. In fact, if that was adjustable, that's the way to do it. Oh, you guys are great. Make this adjust. Yeah. No, make this adjustable. Then when you offset this, whatever you offset this, adjust that back to this jaw. And then you can just index this and you got the same offset with different indexing.
Sure.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm going to fix that tomorrow.
Hey, Jim, what are the steps on that little center round piece you have there? Looked like you had stepped the part that fits in your block.
This part is stepped. Yeah, this part's stepped. You mean?
No, go back to the other picture. There you go. You see where you got the 1 5/8 inches?
Yeah.
Okay, and then that little round part, you've got steps.
That's
Did you mean to do that, or is that just the tool?
Yeah, no, I meant to do that. I wax it.
Okay.
No, wait. I didn't wax it. I put those in there so it'd grab more.
So it'll bite.
It would bite more. I
Bite a little
think.
more.
I
Sure.
think. I'm also superstitious or something, or I guess at these or whatever. I always hope for the best. It sometimes happens. Anyway, I thought you'd like that.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Adjustable
Man.
stop block. Jim, we need a photograph, please, to the web to the Gmail
Yeah.
Oh,
the
sure.
website.
Yeah, I could do that. Okay. I got all kinds of these things.
This is the easy way to index.
Oh, I got a bunch of these things I can't even figure out. I'll tell you. After a while, you put these in the corner and then you pick it up like, what the hell is that?
Find another one for next week.
It's like, yeah. Anyway. Okay, I'll send a picture.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jim.
Gotcha.
All right, let's go to Matt.
All right. I wanted to show the little red bearded gnome I did in the demo. So this is what he looks like finished.
Very nice.
So you saw me make him. I just had a glue malfunction in the demo. So
Can you change your lighting?
hang on. I got invaded, so I don't have a lot of space to walk. Let's try this. How's that?
Perfect.
There you go.
Oh, there we
Much
go.
better. Now I can
That's
see.
great.
Yeah. So, but that's all I've got. So.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, looks good,
Yeah,
Matt.
and if you remember, I cut this so that the little backing bit ends right at the base. So
Yeah.
that's how that worked.
Looks
Yeah,
good.
it turned out good.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice.
Matt, I like your gnome, but your dogs are gorgeous.
Thank you. They are. Yeah, this guy here is really photogenic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Too bad he's so small.
Yeah.
He's
A lap dog.
175 pounds. This guy is. His brother is 185 and mom is 192. So they're big boys.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big dog. Yeah. 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 You're famous, Wolf.
Right. Yeah, he's a good looking
I
dog.
think we got a mascot.
There you go.
Tom Beagle, that's enough for me.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Let's go back to presenter number 1. Hey, Charlie.
Charlie, you're up, sir.
You're muted, Charlie.
Charlie.
There, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
There was the littlest one.
Oh, my.
Whoa.
I made that one deliberately real tight so you can put pills in it and not have them come out. But that's apple wood. And
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cute.
Charlie.
they're made right from the same piece. You can see the grain follow.
Yep.
Very nice.
There you go.
Beautiful.
All right. Now put
Yeah.
it so you can find it again. All right.
But it rolled on the floor.
Okay. Yeah. Put a bell on it. So the next time it
There's
rolls.
an idea.
Right. Or put a bell inside of it.
There you go.
All right. Let's
That
go to Bill
becomes a
Lewis.
rattle.
Hey, Bill.
You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. As we were getting ready for Christmas, I had some potpourri bowls to package up to send to nieces, and my wife was helping me do the packing. And she noted that the nieces were younger and had pottery or potpourri bowls. I told her I couldn't do anything about the age, but I could make her a potpourri bowl. So there's
Ooh.
That's
Very
pretty.
Hey,
That grain is awesome.
Whoa.
big leaf
that's
maple
gorgeous wood.
with the Lee Valley hummingbird insert.
Very
Looks great,
nice.
Bill.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so this is there's a bit of spalting in it. It's really nice wood to work with. Beautiful, beautiful wood.
Mm-mm-mm.
Nice job.
Love it.
Bill, what's the finish on that?
This one is just wipe on poly.
Wow.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
many coats?
Beautiful grain.
yeah. Yes,
How
lovely.
many coats, Bill?
Oh, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing about the wipe on poly is it dries in about a couple of hours. You can do 10 coats in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Right.
And I've shown some of this before. I got a load of firewood this fall, and it had a lot of plum in it. And so I've set that aside. I
Ooh.
bring myself to burn it. So this is a little bud vase out of plum. It's all branch wood, so it's all quite small, all end turn, but there's bark in it and whole.
Love it.
Pretty.
It's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely wood to work with. And it's the price is right, I mean, this is
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Ain't nothing better than free wood.
Yeah. And this one,
Or
I've
free
shown
wood.
a piece of this before. This is a burl of Nootka cypress from the Pacific Northwest. So this is my version of a hollow form. There's a bit of bark left on it. It's
Oh.
That's pretty.
Beautiful.
beautiful wood. And the collar on the top is red cedar. Western red cedar.
Beautiful.
So I like this design because you can I put a little bit of paint, spray paint in the inside so it's black so you can't see. And if you make the collar small enough, you can't get your fingers around to check. And so I don't know whether Kate is on, but I claim it's 1/8 inch.
That's smart.
I was getting ready to ask you what your wall thickness was on that.
Eighth of an inch.
Bill, it almost looks like marble, the wood.
Uh-huh.
A little bit,
Well,
I almost went through.
I can see it from here.
That's it.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
I love that shape.
It does
Right
almost
on.
look like marble. That's just awesome.
I love that.
Thank you.
Very nice. All right, let's go to Brenda.
Yay!
Yay!
I made a bowl this week. Nice big one.
Sure did.
Pretty.
That's pretty.
Pretty, Brenda.
That's
There's
pretty,
a
good.
Brenda.
Looks like
got a
a
Nicely,
seal
pheasant.
inside of
nicely
it.
done.
You got a pheasant
Veal?
on the inside. No, it's a pheasant.
Parfex.
Pheasant?
Parfex.
Of
Parfex.
course. Yep.
Of course.
I see the
I
pheasant.
debated on what to put on it, but then I thought
There you go, Billy.
Parfex. I did not finish the bottom yet because I brought it up today, and I don't know if you can read it. Tried to engrave my logo on the bottom and got it all messed up. So, but anyway, this is just a free gift to the guy that gave me the brass shavings a while back. So
Nice.
Very nice, Brenda. Very nice.
yeah.
Very
Did
pretty.
you,
After I
didn't
got
you
it
do
back
something
out-
else, Brenda?
What's that?
Didn't you make something else?
No.
I thought you made a small one.
Yeah.
No, not this week.
No?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't think so. After I got it hollowed out,
Senior.
halfway hollowed out, I thought, man, I should have put my hollowing jig, or my what's that thing called? The bowl saver.
Coring system.
Yeah, the coring system. She used the coring system on this, but the other half of this, I might try that.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to use it. I
Be a
don't.
good candidate. Be a good
I've had it for a
candidate.
year or so. Never have used it yet. One of these days, I'll get around to it.
Keep saying that with a
Green
lot
wood
of my
first.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Yeah.
You can always call me.
All right.
All right. Let's go back to Mr. Duxbury.
Oh, okay. This is this week's turnings. And it's Valentine's Day.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
That is a nice idea. I like that.
A little Valentine's heart.
Did you cut that shape first?
Yes.
Okay.
And that one I made, this is my wife made the rest of these.
Oh,
Oh, my
nice.
goodness.
I retouch
Very
them
nice.
up.
Wow.
and Let me
Sure.
give them away. I know that I missed one here. Oh, that's the bottom. Yeah.
Sweet.
We do all kinds of
turning?
designs.
She does the turning on that too?
Yeah, she did the whole turning. Yeah,
Sweet.
Nice.
I did. They're just shallow bowls. We do a bunch of different shapes, 4-leaf clover and a bunch of different shapes.
Okay.
And this is spatulas.
Oh,
Did a bunch of these. This is 5 of them, but
I like those. That is pretty.
these go over good.
Nice.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah.
They're not too hard to make. Oh, and that's a river birch bowl. I didn't
Pretty.
Nice.
get some texture on it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
another river birch bowl.
Beautiful.
Guy down the
Awesome.
street.
Yeah.
Got one down. Yeah. Anyway,
I need somebody to teach me how to do a readable wood burn signature.
well,
If
that's
you
not
ever,
what.
if
No,
you
that's
ever have
not.
the opportunity to watch Rita, to be in the presence of Rita and Jim, it is a wonderful experience. Don't miss it.
Thank you, Bob.
Is your handwriting any good, Billy?
No.
No. You're in the right group.
No.
That's why I bought the engraver.
Anyway, that's sycamore, ambrosia sycamore. You don't see that much, I don't think.
No,
Wow.
that's pretty.
Very
But,
pretty.
yeah, they went right through the whole thing.
Yeah, I love that worm. The eyeball.
Oh, that's it for me. How do I get out of this?
Nice.
That's good. That's nice.
Very nice, Jim.
Very nice, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
bud.
job. All right, let's
I'm
do
gonna try to get out
safe.
of it.
Hello.
Haley.
What's up, Tampa?
Gotcha.
Well, not too much. I want to talk today about illnesses and some of the things that happen to us as we get older. And when they affect you, not to get on the lathe. Now, for me, I have macular degeneration. I got my eye shots last week, and it took me days before I stopped seeing dots. I'm not going to get on the lathe with my eyes like that. If you're having issues with your breathing or your heart, you're exhausted, please don't get on the lathe. Don't get on any machinery that's revolving.
Right.
Especially if you're dizzy. You know, I make a bit of a joke about that, but a lot of people have vertigo. So I want everybody to enjoy what they're doing, but be safe while they're doing it. And part of that is our health. So this week, be safe, everybody. And I hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Sue.
All right, Eddie, we're back to you, buddy.
All right. All right. Well, I'm restricting what I can do. So, all right, I'm back. We've had an interesting visit so far this evening. If you're just joining us, what you may have missed is we are going to, or we're working on, and we got the world's greatest webmaster, a trade page or spot.
Barter.
He'll tell us when he does it. It's going to be a trade or barter deal, not a wood sale, not a tool sale. It's going to be, I got this. Can you use it? What can you give me for it? And not money. And we're going to develop that. And I see when that first came up, my mind went to, well, we're going to get hounded by the people that sell stuff. Like our Facebook page gets bombarded with folks that are selling things or peddling things. And I'm constantly going through eliminating them because they're not members. They're only out for the buck. And we didn't want to get into that. I've seen enough of them over the years, and you have too. It's like the bot thing, you know. So, a lot of people are in it for the buck, and it's not fair. So we're developing that right now, and it's interesting to see. And would like to get a recap of what you come up with. If you pedal off a piece of handle wood or the stock that Scott had a little while ago, if you trade off and you make something out of it, why don't you show us the piece and tell us how you got the wood? You know, that'd be the fun thing about it. This entire format is made up of sharing about wood turning. So sharing tools, sharing wood, sharing information. I mean, you've seen it tonight. We have, I love when Jim Duxbury jumps in on us. And he's over there all embarrassed right now. But don't be, Jim. Jim, you just gave 78 people an idea how to build a chuck that they can build in their shop with, can't use scrap lumber, spare lumber, and save money from going out and buying a marketed item. I mean, what you showed us can almost do the exact same thing that some of those joiner type chucks can do. And all you have to do is practice. That's it. You take Jim's piece, put up there, and then put a block on it, just a good old fashioned block of wood, and take a pencil and start watching what happens. And then you let this thing go to work, and you'll come up with some great ideas. And that's why we're here. See that we're sharing all the time. We're going to do another tips and tricks in a couple of weeks and let you do that. You go to your go to your shop, pick out something that works for you that you like to share with others. And oh, that Chuck is IOCO. What does that stand for?
IOCO stands for intuitively obvious to the casual observer.
Really?
I'm not gonna remember that, Dane.
No.
No.
I thought you were saying loco.
Say that 10 times real fast.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I could, because I used to use that in college when I was doing trig, because I would never do a proof and I would write down on the test IOCO and I would take my 0.
But we're working towards that because it's going to be a fun idea. I'm very much impressed with the suggestion for it, and we're going to make it happen because you came up with it. We're also working
Eddie,
on. Hey,
Eddie, in the trading thing, I think we need to set parameters that there's no trading management.
but Billy's already applied for it. You know what we do does never require approval or restrictions or conditions. No, we play fair, and that's one of the 3 rules. We have to play fair, and I'd like to see it. You will play fair. If you're interested in getting the contact list, if they put it in the chat and they give you the information, you're okay to go to that information. If they just say, hi, I'm Brenda and I have some wood to give away, that's not going to happen anyway. But if you've got an item, you can get it. You can get their contact information through our contact list. And that's on our website under the contact thing. It says members list. That's not a roster. We don't do a roster. This thing's open to the whole world. But if you want to be contacted about anything, you go to your chat right now and put in what you choose to be in your contact. If you want your name and phone number, you want your name, address, dog's name, whatever. Matt, your dog really weighs 192 pounds. I'm fighting to get down to that weight like you won't believe. But you put all that information in the chat. David will take it out of the chat before he posts it to the website, and it'll go in our contact list. You fill out the form. Subject is capital C, APTIAN, Captain, capital C, APTAIN. And you put that, you fill out the form exactly as it says, follow all the rules, uncheck, check, all that stuff. And you can get this list, and it's constantly updated, and it doesn't cost you anything to have. So as soon as you press send me the list, within seconds, you'll get it, because we're here to share information. Tonight, we're going to go to Scott's shop. Scott's got a little something to show us this evening. And with that, Dane, you have to pop him in there and get it set up. How's that?
All right, I will do that.
I got him.
Can you guys hear me or not?
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'll hear you.
Okay,
Can you
I'm
get
working
your
with a new
spotlight?
mic, so we'll see how this works. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to apologize
Sound good,
up front.
Scott.
Okay. I'm going to apologize up front. You're going to get a little motion sickness because I got a small shop and one camera. So things are going to get spun around a little bit once in a while. So the first thing I want to talk about is bandsaws and how to set them up. So I'm going to spin you around, flip the camera. Here's my bandsaw. I'm going to move you a little closer. So if you've listened to Mr. Snodgrass, he tells you to tighten your blades way too tight. I have a lot of sawmill experience from sawing lumber, and you don't need your blades that tight. All you're doing is stretching the snot out of them. So if you look at my blade, my my thing is up a little high. Safety Sue, my glasses are right here. Crank this up a little. If you can see, I can push this blade almost a good 1/8 of an inch, if not to a 1/4 of an inch, with halfway up on the blades itself. So that's about what you want. This particular blade is the blade I use for sawing bowl blanks. It's a 1/2 inch, 3-tooth negative rake tooth, and it's extremely sharp. It will take your fingers off. So now I'm going to switch you back around. If I can get my camera to hold up. And I'm going to show you, this is a small blade. This would be for doing small work, tight circles. This is a nasty blade. This is what I use for resawing. And I use it maybe for making veneer. It's an 1 1/4 inch blade.
Hey, Scott.
This is for doing major. What's that?
Scott, can you
Go ahead,
mention the number of teeth?
Okay, the last one I just showed was, I think that one's 3 teeth per inch or 2 teeth per inch. The one before that, I have no idea how many it is. It's probably 20 or 30 per inch. This one here is an 1.5 inch blade. And this I use for cutting like white oak and things like that from a log to make lumber.
Wow.
That's all it's used for. And it's 1 tooth for every inch. And it's a nasty, nasty, nasty blade.
It cuts right through the wood, don't it?
Yes, it slices very well. So then here's a 3/4 inch. I think this is like 4 or 5 teeth per inch. It's another bowl sawing blade. I don't use it a lot because you can't cut tight circles with it. The blade I have on now, I can go down to about a 4, maybe a 5-inch circle pretty easily without having too much problem. This isn't an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch skip tooth blade. This you can use for cutting patterns like Billy does on his scroll saw. This will cut some pretty tight radiuses. And then we get into this little guy. This one will cut just about any radius to the scroll saw cut. It's less than 1/8 of an inch. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's pretty small. And if I can get it to focus on the teeth, there's like 18 teeth per inch. So it's real good for scrolling. Now, if you're going to scroll with a saw, with a bandsaw, which you can do, you have to take the back edge off this blade. You have to take this edge off with a diamond card or some kind of hone, a stone hone. You want to make this round so you can back that blade up, which is one of the things most people tell you can't do on a bandsaw. That's not true. If you got the tension right and it's centered right in the blade and you got your bearings down close to the workpiece, you can use it like a scroll saw. I have done it. That's how I know that. So all my blades are all rounded in the back. I do it to all my blades. Even these big blades are rounded. They just make things a little safer because there are burrs on the back of these blades when you get them because they're basically punch metal.
How do you
They
round
come
them?
through a machine. I round them with a diamond hone, like just like what you do to a skew. You have your little diamond hone for touching up your skew. You can use it on the back of these blades.
So turn it on and just put it up against it.
Nope, you do it by hand. You don't ever want to do that. Get your fingers that close to especially a blade like this one. It'll take your fingers off in a heartbeat and won't even think about it. So I do it by hand.
Yeah.
I can turn you back around so you can see my bandsaw. I'll move you a little closer.
When you say you do it by hand,
you've got it mounted in the bandsaw and you turn your bandsaw wheels by hand?
That is correct.
Okay.
So let me grab a hone. I happen to have one right here. So all I have is a little card hone like this. Can you see that?
Yep.
Now I'm going to open my door with the machine unplugged, and you're just going to hold this hone here like this and go around your blade. And you can I don't know if you can hear that in my mic or not, but that's all you got to do to it. Both sides of the blade, just take the burr off. So while I got the door open, I'm going to swing this around. If you see how that blade is centered, so the gullet is in the center of the wheel, not the center of the blade. So this is the gullet, the indentation should be as centered, as close to the center of the wheel as you can get it when you put it on properly. One other thing I want to talk about while we're on the bandsaw, and then I'll switch to doing some fun stuff, is when you got that bandsaw blade dirty, like, let's see, where did I put it? Like this one, from cutting green wood, you do not clean this on the saw. Any chemical that you put on this blade is going to take that tire on that bandsaw and it's going to destroy it. Overnight, it will destroy that rubber, or if you're using the urethane, it'll destroy it. And don't ask me how I know that. I did it by accident. Those tires are about 6 to 8 months old, and it took me 4 hours each wheel to replace them, and 2 people. And you have to boil them in water first. Yep. So they're not fun to change. And so when I go to clean those, I just use a piece of wood, like a wooden shim or another piece of hardwood, and I just scrape them clean. And if you got your brushes and stuff set right in your bandsaw, you shouldn't have to clean them anyways. Even with green wood, you shouldn't have to clean them. You can wipe them down with warm, soapy water, but that would be the harshest chemical that I would use on them. If you use this nice blade cleaning stuff that everybody sells, I guarantee you within 24 hours, you'll be changing those tires on that bandsaw. And when they explode, they scare the snot out of you. Because when it exploded, it exploded. I had rubber all over and pieces of blade all over and every stuff tangled every which way you can imagine. So I learned that by experience about 6-8 months ago. So enough for the talking of bandsaw. Now I'm going to show you some jigs that I use. So this is a jig that I use for starting out a round log and getting it flat. So everybody knows you're not supposed to run anything round through a machine. So this is what I've come up with to do. You can cut lumber with it. You can cut veneer with it. You can just flatten logs so that you can start using your fence, whatever you want. So it's a homemade jig. And I can't see a camera, so you guys got to tell me if you can see this.
You're good.
This slides in and out. It fits in your T-slot, so it's got a guide fence to slide in your T-slot. And then these slide back and forth. And I'll show how this works. I'll actually put it on the saw and show you. But I'm going to mount this piece. So this is how I'm going to mount it. This is nothing but a screw clamp from our favoriteest place, Harbor Freight. And you just lock this fence down. It's just got 2 wing nuts in the back. I'll show you that in a minute. And you just clamp this between there. Now it's solid. It's part of this sled. And there's 2 wing nuts in the back that lock that faceplate down. This clamp is also adjustable up and down. You can see I got a grid pattern made. so that I can adjust this up and down depending on the size of the log. And so now we can slice it off. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to turn you back around again, and I'll put this on the saw and show you how I use this. I typically don't use this often because I use another method, but this is just another way to do it. So if you bear with me for a second. All right, now I'll turn you back around so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe I'll set you on this side. This might be a little better. Watch the blurriness. How's that? Can you see that, Dane?
Yeah, can you move it a little bit closer?
No, that's about as close as I can get it.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine.
And that's about as close as I can get it. I only got a small table right here, so.
Can you move the fence a little further back?
Yep. Actually, I'm going to mount this log in here, Billy. And I got it pretty close to where it's going to go. So here we go. I want to cut this off and make this flat on this side. So I'm going to mount this in here. Like this. I'm going to clamp it down. If you notice, this edge of this blade is actually on the edge of the sled. So that's a straight line, parallel line to the blade. So if you want to cut angles, you can cut angles. You can do whatever you want. Get this cranked in here tight.
Can you move the metal fence on the left?
Yes, it's just a metal clamp and it slides. And I just got to get it so it clamps in here.
He means the bandsaw,
Trick is getting it
the bandsaw fence.
Like, how about if I take that off?
Yeah, that'll
help.
work.
Does that help?
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mejor mucho.
So now I got this clamped in here. It's solid. I mean, you can see I'm wiggling the whole machine. Now I'm going to start this up. Make sure you got your bearings where you need them so they clear. It's going to be this simple.
What happened to audio?
It's probably the bandsaw cutting out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think it's Zoom cut out the audio on the when I started the bandsaw. My bandsaw is extremely loud, so I can barely hear you when it's running. So it just stopped.
No,
so you can see how
you're fine. You're fine, Scott. You know, folks, keep in mind, Zoom will muffle machinery sounds. So if he's not talking, then you're not going to hear any audio.
Yep. So you can see how nice that sliced that's pretty smooth. Little sandpaper, you could probably use it as a board. So now if you wanted to slice boards, you would just move it over to slice boards. Or if you wanted to flatten another side, you just rotate the log and flatten another side. But at this point now, you can use your regular fence and start making your bowl blanks, whatever thickness you want. You don't necessarily have to use this sled. You can if you want to. You don't have to. I just use it to flatten one side of a log that's maybe too high for my throat, but yet I want to get 2 bowls out of it maybe on each end. So that's all I use it for, is just to get one side flat. So any questions about how the jig works?
Yes, what did you call that, that bar that is holding the log?
So that's just a bar clamp that I got at Harbor Freight. And I can, hang on a second. I'll take it off so I can actually show it a little better.
Okay.
So it's slotted in the back.
I gotta make one of these.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are gonna like
So-
this. It's pretty slick.
So I'm just gonna spin it around because it'll be easier for you to see. You can see this bar clamp's got a slot in the back. Can you see that? Right there.
Okay.
And it's
Gotcha.
slotted. You can buy these at Harbor Freight. All they did was made a piece of stock that goes in there like you would make for your runner on your, it would go in your T slot. So it just, the piece of wood fits in there and it's got a carriage bolt in it. And then it's adjustable right here. So you can take it off and move it up and down depending on the size of your log.
Wow.
Nice. That's a
So-
cool
So it's
idea.
pretty versatile. And
I
if
like,
you find out you didn't make the holes in the right places, like this one, that's the object of the grid pattern on this side. So now I have a grid pattern that's parallel to the rest of the jig. So you can see I can move, I can move this bar clamp. I can slide it this way. I can also slide it up and down. And I can also slide it so I can use, this is a 36-inch bar clamp on a 30-inch sled. So I could actually cut all the way out to 36 inches if I wanted to. I probably wouldn't do that without an outfeed table or some help because the log on this sled, 36 inches long, is going to be pretty heavy. But if you want to make boards, if you're making small boxes or you want to make finial blanks out of something, this is a great way to slice them off at the same way every time. The other thing I use this for is it's great. It's not necessarily a wood turning thing, but this also makes great tapers. If you can see, I can twist it and set it to make a taper. So if you wanted to taper some table legs or anything that you wanted to do and put taper in them, you can taper them with this jig as well.
The bottom of an
It
ornament
slides.
stand.
Yep. Or a bottom of an ornament stand. You could do that same thing with this.
Yeah.
So it's very versatile. This one's also set up. I have a Powermatic 66 saw, table saw. And it just so happens that my guide track on this saw and that saw are exactly the same. So I can use it for cutting tapers on my table saw, which is pretty fortunate that they actually are the same distance from the blade. Kind of makes it convenient.
now, is that
So-
blade a negative rake? Do you use,
Yes, this is a negative rake.
what's the advantage
So
of
instead of,
rake?
it pulls the sawdust to the middle, to the gullet, rather than to the edge.
Okay,
So normally your blade, this tooth would be faced out and this tooth would be faced out. These two teeth are slightly bent inward at
Okay.
different angles. So it pulls the sawdust to the middle of the cut rather than trying to force it to the outside.
okay,
It's mainly used for cutting veneer. It's kind of something they use for veneer, but you don't need to use a negative rake. It's just, I don't know, it's just my preference. You could
Okay.
use whatever rake that you can afford to buy. It's whatever price range you want to spend for blades.
gotcha.
This blade is a Timberwolf blade, and I think it was around $45 to $60, depending on where you buy it from.
Okay,
What vendor you buy it from. And this saw takes an unusual size. It's a grizzly. It's a 19-inch throat with a 12-inch rip, and it takes a 143-inch blade, which is an oddball. Most people don't have blades that long. The shorter blades are easier to find. I have to special order mine every time I order them, because
see the
I
back?
have them made.
Can we see
What's
the
that?
back side of, can we see the back side of the jig again?
Sure.
I gotta get a picture in my head of how I'm gonna build this.
So there's what it looks like on the backside. It's got 2 T-tracks set at whatever distance you want. I set mine in 8 inches from each end, centered on 8 inches. I figured that was good, and I just used T-bolts that you can buy anywhere. And then it just has just wing nuts. And if I'd had wing nuts,
so there's pictures of that on the website.
Yeah, I will take some pictures of this and send it to the website so you can see how, and I'll take it apart so you can see how it's put together.
That's a great jig. Scott. Really a wonderful jig.
Yes.
Very good.
This is one of 3 that you'll see tonight. So I'm going to set this one aside and I'll set up another one.
Sweet.
So this is a jig for cutting if you don't have a chop saw, or sometimes like I do, I get it in the woods and I forget how tall my blanks got to be, and I cut them too long. So now I can take this jig, I'm going to back you up, and I'm going to show you how it saws. Let's see if I can get the picture of the blade. And I'm going to take a piece here. You can see I cut this piece way too long. I wasn't thinking when I cut this up. So now I'm going to set this in here. I'm going to adjust this up. Got to find a tape measure here somewhere. Put my eye protection on that I forgot to do before. Normally I wear a face mask when I do this that I use for turning, but in this case, I don't think you'd hear my mic underneath the face mask. So what I did is I marked where this saw will cut, and you can see that I'm a little short. So I'm going to find a little block of wood just to stabilize this in my notches. And I'm just going to cut this off. If you can hear my saw, it's pretty loud.
God,
So now I just made
Zoom's muffling that great.
Good. So I just cut that blank now where I can run it underneath my bearings. I hope. So that's all it is it's just 245-degree angles. I'll set you back up here. It's just 245-degree angles screwed to a plate, and it's got a piece to go in my T-track. And it just slides back and forth. And you can cut any length limb or log, whatever. This one's big, so I can do big chunks. You know, sometimes I get really goofy when I'm out cutting wood and don't think. Sometimes I don't have a tape measure and I just guess, and I'm always wrong. So I just
Hey,
so
Scott,
this is my yeah.
do you treat your saw bed or the bottom of your thing of your jig to make it move smoother?
My saw bed, I can't talk. My saw bed has T9 5 coats. It's like a piece of glass. I polished it first with up to 1500 grit wet dry sandpaper, and then I put T9 on it. And every time I'm done sawing, it gets another coat of T9. That's why this slides so nice.
Thank you.
So the other thing that I have that is a little hard to find, you can see that white piece there. My uncle used to work for a conveyor company that made conveyors for Miller Brewing Company and Pepsi. This material is called Hyfax. It's what they used in their conveyors to keep the cans and bottles from wearing out their conveyors. It was put in the corners and straightaways. And it's what holds the cans and bottles upright from falling over, hopefully. And it's got a light vegetable oil impregnated in it. So it's really super slick. If you can find a plastic shop in your area, you can probably get this, and they might call it a different name, but it's just, all it is a oil infused plastic that it doesn't leave an oil residue. It'll never leach, but as it wears, it just leaves a thin film of oil on the plastic. And I'll warn you, if you go to buy it, it's expensive. So if you can find somebody that's in the conveyor business and ask them if they can give you some scrap, because they throw this stuff away. And what they do is they take, as it wears on the conveyor, they throw the chunks away. It starts out as a 3/4 inch piece or a 1 inch piece, and as it wears down, they throw it away. And it's just scrap to them. And it works good. You can cut the wear off of it and then reuse it. For whatever reason, they don't build adjustments. They don't build adjustments in their conveyors to adjust it over. They just take it off and throw it away. So it's nice stuff to work with. I get it when I see my uncle, I get it in 24-inch lengths, and it's usually about 3 inches wide. I usually get the cutoff of a 20-foot stick of it. So I have some that I'll never give away because he doesn't work there anymore and he retired. So I don't have that luxury of getting it anytime I want it. Now it's a little more work. But all my jigs have this runner on it because it's so slick and smooth. Well, that's my crosscut sled.
Do you cut that plastic on the table saw?
Yes, it cuts just like if you used HDPE, which you can readily buy on eBay or somewhere like that, Amazon. It's the same type of plastic. It just doesn't have the oil in it. The stuff that if you buy HDPE or UTP,
yeah,
high plastic, it just doesn't have oil in it. That's the only difference. It's all, you can even turn this stuff. I've even turned this on a lathe to make a mandrel, if you can find it big enough. So now I'll show you, I'm going to put you over here and point you down. This is how I saw blanks. So I hate blanks that split. So if you can see the center of this blank, here's the pith. And I need a pencil. This is, can you see that? Can somebody tell me if you can see that? This is the pith. This is the center of the tree, the part I'm coloring.
Yep.
Yep.
So you want to cut a 1/2 inch each side of that pith if you don't want this to split. So I'm going to take this log, and instead of running it through the other machine, I'm going to cut on those lines. So one of the safety things I do, I put gloves on just so I can get a good feel of the log, because there's no revolving parts here except for the blade. And when you put your hands on this blank to run it through here, don't curl your fingers over the ends like you would naturally think you should do, because you can't see your fingertips out here. So you got to stake your fingers, and you want them where you can visually see them straight on. And I'm just going to push this blank through. I'll show that now. Just like that. So now I want to cut the other part of the center out. So now I'm going to take a push stick to keep my fingers away from the blade. Now you have, this is probably a little thin for most of you, but I can get a bowl blank out of that end. There probably wasn't the best log to show you on. This is a piece of tamarack, which is real white. And if you put oil on it, it's going to turn yellow. You can see how kind of yellows on the end. So has anybody got a question on how I do that?
Are you going to show us how to cut out a circular bowl blank also?
Yep,
Yes.
that's coming next.
Patience.
All right, cool.
Patience.
Patience, my
Matt.
son.
Patience, Matt.
Patience.
Patience,
So I'm gonna-
grasshopper.
Hey, at least I'm awake and paying attention, you guys. Come on.
Hey, that's a bonus there. That's always a bonus.
Hey, and
So
that
you can
piece,
see,
the piece
Go
you
ahead.
cut out of the center, that's quarter sawn.
that is
Sure
correct.
is.
Yep.
Throw
So
it away.
that either in my case goes to making little boxes, jewelry boxes,
Yeah.
or
Bachelors.
some people gonna cringe when I say this, I cut it into pen blanks.
Ooh.
Bachelors.
Or spatula handles.
I oohed that one.
Ooh, that's great.
So now if you look at this log, this pith is way over here. So I can get a heck of a nice bowl blank, thick bowl blank out of this. So I'm gonna split this one and then we'll turn it into a bowl blank. And I do this by eye. I don't usually draw lines. So you can see how nice that saw cuts. It's pretty smooth. That blade cuts real nice.
What blade do you
So
got on there now?
that's a Timberwolf negative rake. I think it's 1 or 2 teeth per inch, maybe 3 teeth per inch, and it's a half. I think it's a ½ inch, half or 3/4. That's pretty much what I run most of the time. ½ inch. So you can get these blades for most of your bandsaws. Most Timberwolf makes blades for just about every bandsaw. So now I've cut the pith out of this, and you can see this is cracked. Matt might know what this wood is. I think they have it in Michigan. It's called Hopa tree. Where I'm from here in Wisconsin, our city is known as the Hopa tree capital of the world. We have more Hopa tree, HOPPA. And it's a form of an apple tree, but it never gets apples on it. It flowers like an apple tree.
It's an ornamental crab apple. Okay.
Yep, it's in that family of tree. So you know how apple likes to crack. This was cut 3 years ago. It's been in my drying shed for 3 years with the ends painted, and you can see how much it's cracked. But they're not very deep in here. So now you can either slice the sides off if you want to, or you can make a bowl blank out of it. I'm going to try to make one where I can save the bark, hopefully. So now I'm going to put on my next jig for you. And this is the one I think Matt wants to see.
There's the show, Buster. Matt, you
clean
awake?
this track out.
Yeah, I'm awake. I got dogs that keep me awake too. So.
And the trick is getting it set in the track. So now this slides on here like this. This is my circle cutting jig. This moves in and out. It has a lock, so it only goes so far. This taper here is for relief to get the sawdust out of the way, because now you don't have a way to suck it into your machine if you have air assist. And this thing, and get all my stuff out of my way. I'm actually going to cut a few circles for you, just because I got stuff out. So this has a locking nut underneath, and this track slides in and out. Okay. So you want to make this whatever circle size you want. I got to grab a drill. We're going to need a drill. This is a 1/4 inch peg. I also have one, if I don't want to drill a 1/4 inch hole in something, I have one that's got a point on it that you can replace it. It's just a screw threaded into that bar. And I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that? Can't tell.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one with the point on it. So I just took it to the grinder and ground a point on it, and it threads in that same position. So if you don't want a hole in something because you don't know which side you want to be your finish side or your coring side or whatever, you can do that, and you don't have such a big hole to try to replace. So now, where did I just put that piece? This is a pretty nice piece. So I'm going to set this up here. And hopefully you guys can see that. And I have a big circle cutting template. And I'm just going to take, just because you guys can't see the lines and I can, I'm going to put this will be my center mark on the backside. And I just pound that in there a little ways. And this is enough bulb length that I can cut out this hole that I'm going to drill in here. And it looks like I can get a pretty much an 8-inch circle out of this. So I'm going to draw an 8-inch circle in here just so I remember what I drew or what I wanted it to be. And then wouldn't you know, my nail had to pop out. Only on a demo.
Of course.
Never fails.
Never fails. So we'll pound it in a little farther because we're going to drill a hole anyways. So I just draw a circle on here. I'll slide this out so I can go all the way around. Pull my nail out. Now I have my center point. Like so. Now I have a perfect circle. Now you could either cut this by hand or you can use this fancy jig I have. I'm going to use the jig because my circle will come out almost perfectly round. And these you can buy anywhere. They have them at all the box store, you know, the woodworking stores, wherever. I don't even know where I bought this one. I think it came out of Lee Valley, actually. And it just gets magneted up to my saw. Now I'm going to take a drill bit that's just a hair bigger than 1/4 inch. And drill a small pilot hole. And I'm going to measure that just to make sure that it's 8 inches. What I said it was going to be, and it is. So now I'm going to cheat a little bit. Get a different ruler. I'm an old-fashioned stick ruler guy. I like them better than a ruler. I have a line scribed on this piece here, which I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's the center line of that bolt. So now I'm going to cheat that bolt in so that it's exactly 4 inches, which is half of the 8-inch circle. Tight to my blade. I'm going to tighten that down so that can't slide. Then you back this up like this because you never start out on right on the circle. I'm going to try to get this in that hole, which sometimes is a real trick.
Okay, so that board here.
Come on. There we go. It's almost on there. I thought. I'm going to wobble the hole out just a little bit to make it a little easier to go on there. There, now we got it on there. So now you noticed I got this jig pulled backwards because the log is bigger than because I cut this at 12 inches, so it's bigger than what my circle is going to be at 8 inches. So now to start this, I'm going to push this into the blade, and you can watch from there. Come on.
Give me a demo.
The trick is to get it turning.
I don't think you're deep enough into the cut.
And I'm going to slide this down a little. That'll help too. Come on.
Keep pushing away from you. Keep
Yep,
pushing
hang
away
on.
from you because
Yeah,
it's not
binding
hitting this.
The sawdust is binding it. That's the problem. There we go.
Beautiful. Yes, beautiful.
Once you get it figured out, it works pretty good. And you can see that I ended up right back where I started, and my circle is cut right on my black line, or pretty close to it anyways. So there, now you have a round blank that you can either turn with the bark on or the bark off, however you want.
That is cool.
Scott, there's a lead and follow part on that. All right, tell us what it is.
It's
All right,
far as what
so
do you
where that blade,
as far as what do you mean?
that blade
The lead
is
and the
lined up.
Yep,
That blade is lined up with the center of that dowel.
that is correct.
Okay, that's critical because if you're one way or the other, you're cutting
Right.
out of you're not cutting concentric. You're not following a true line.
So you can see I have this bar split as well. Let me get some of the sawdust out of there. There's a line in the center of this bar, which lines up right at the tip of that tooth, right there. This line and this tip of this tooth are about as close as you're ever going to get them. So you can slide this out as far as you want. I don't know if you can see that. I slid it out quite a ways. So this jig right now, the way I have it set up, I can cut a 24-inch radius.
Wow.
I can take this bar out. I can cut as small as 4 inches this way. This is my 4-inch mark. If I take this and flip this over, now I can cut 2-inch circles. And then I can cut infinite number this way. It doesn't matter. It's whatever, wherever you put this locking bolt. Can you see that down there? This is the locking bolt that rides in this track. And it's just got a thumb screw on the bottom, a thumb nut.
It slides over and supports that sliding
It
rail.
locks, it locks the riding rail. So that's all that's in there. And this bolt goes through here like this.
Oh, I see.
Threads on like that. You push it up, get the flats of the nut in the track. And there you go. Now it's
T-track turned upside down.
T-track turned upside down. That's all it is.
What did you call that bolt?
It's just a 1/4-inch bolt that you buy at the hardware store.
Oh, just regular bolt.
It's a
Just
cradle
regular
bolt, Brenda.
A what?
Yep. It's just a bolt.
Cradle bolt.
Cradle.
And I drilled out the T-slot a little bit so that that round-headed 1/4 inch screw would go through there. I just took a whatever you got to make it a little bit bigger just so that it slides in there.
That's what
And you can see
on the bottom.
it just, what's that?
That 1/2 inch
What, Brenda?
plywood.
This is actually 3/4 inch plywood because these tracks are roughly a 1/2 inch thick. So you only have really about a 1/4 inch of that holding that on there. One of the things you got to make sure of if you take this track out, that you get it cleaned out on the bottom, because it will ride proud then after that if you get sawdust down on this track. So how I made this track is I made it on a table saw, put my dado blade in, figured where I wanted the center of the track to be, and that's what's centered on my dado blade, and cut my appropriate dado for the T-slot that I have. And you have to measure all these because they're not all the same. And then you just run this in, run it past so that you have a place for the sawdust to come out of here. You just stop the saw, you run it past this line, and you stop the saw and wait for your table saw to stop, and then you just pick this up and it makes that slope for you because it's working off the back curve of the blade.
You got a board on the bottom of that to stop it, you say too, right?
Yep. So to stop it advancing, I just have a board here that's screwed to the bottom, and it hits my table.
Right.
Just hits on the edge of my table. You could hit on the edge of your fence, whatever, just so it's a stop. It's just got to stop so that it can't slide past that slot. So when you make this table, when you make this platform, the first thing you have to do is screw the track so it slides in your T-slot. Then you put this on where you want it to stop in this table, where you want the front edge of this blade to stop. Then you run it in and cut this kerf before you cut this piece here in, because you need to know where the tip of this blade is. So I can tell where the tip of this blade is to stop this dado, or center this dado, by the end of the cut. My cut only goes to the end of this blade.
You cut that slot before you did the dado blade?
Yep, I cut this slot before I did the dado.
Okay.
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 Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. That's how you
did
end
that?
up centering it in your dado blade, because you cut that blade, bandsaw blade first, and then you can measure it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then you'll have it right every time.
Yeah.
Gotta be 90 degrees too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it has to be
Perfect.
90
Yeah.
degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And by
that's-
cutting this first, you automatically make this 90 degrees. This edge doesn't matter because you're not measuring from here. You know,
And your
Yeah.
stop
you're measuring
makes
from
it, yeah.
from the blade
okay.
to here. The other thing you can do, I'll set you back up here. If you're really concerned about 90 degrees, you can take a machinist square, set it up here. Let me get this out of here. And now you can set that up there to make sure you have 90 degrees. You can set it on this line, and essentially you'll get 90 degrees to the saw cut like this. Now you can get the center of that dado cut. There's the center. And you can line it up because you got your end of your slot, you know where the end of the tooth is. So now you know where the center of this line's got to be. That makes sense to everybody?
Yep.
So these pieces I also don't throw away. These get made into bottle stopper blanks like this. I cut them into bottle stopper blanks, or I cut them into pen blanks, finial tops, whatever you want. Knobs, you could make knobs out of them, whatever you want to do. So any other questions? How am I doing on time, Dane?
We're doing good. We got 2 questions.
Okay.
Craig, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I was curious. I've got a lot lower powered bandsaw than you got. I got one of the Wind 10-inch bandsaws, and the blades you're using and everything. My 3 TPI blade, it's a lot lower power than yours, I'm sure, but it takes a lot more time for me to get through the wood, even though it's only like a 5 or 6 inch throat.
Yep.
So I was curious, the blades you use, are they that much better than some of the other general blades that are out there?
In my opinion, yes. That's only my opinion. I mean, anybody else might tell you different. Some manufacturers might tell you different, but in my opinion, Timberwolves are the best blades on the market for their money.
Okay. Yeah, because I've got a small shop, so I can't really put a big bandsaw in my. I've only got a 10x20 building that's been decked out with insulation and drywall, so not a whole lot of room. I got to keep things small.
Yep, my shop is 16x20. I have a 52-inch Powermatic 66 table saw. I have a Craftsman saw set 90 degrees to that one. They're back to back. And then I have a 6-foot door that I made into a table, a solid core door that I made into a workbench. And
okay,
you're looking at my lathe area. Before I get done here, I'll show you my shop area, so you can see. And my wife calls me the wood hoarder. I can't ever throw anything away and can't turn down anybody that wants to give me free stuff. So
yeah, I've got a
wood.
No, just gonna say I got a bucket right next to my bandsaw for all of the real small stuff. I use it for kindling, and the other stuff I save for different projects like you do.
Yep. So I have a cousin that burns wood, so he takes anything that I can't make into something, he burns it.
There you go.
I have a pellet stove. I don't know if you heard me telling Matt earlier, I have a pellet stove. And I don't know if most of you guys probably don't know what a pellet stove is, but they take sawdust like this. They can back it into a pellet.
Yeah.
Which is 1 inch long and about 1/8 inch in diameter. And it burns in an enclosed stove. And it's actually EPA rated. You can get a tax break for burning pellets.
Okay. Well, I know they got grills with the pellets too.
Yep. It's the same pellet. It's just in the grills, they tend to use like apple or hickory, where these pellets are either softwood or hardwood, and you get whatever you get.
Right.
So my sawdust, as long as I don't pick it off the floor, there's a place here where I live that actually makes pellets. They take my sawdust off my dust collector as long as there's no metal and it doesn't have any sand in it.
Cool.
Hey, Scott.
Thanks.
Can we go back to Craig's question? I just want to follow up, and I'd like for you to expand on it.
Sure.
Keep in mind, even if you got a smaller throated bandsaw and you're going to have the corresponding smaller horsepower motor,
right?
You're still going to be able to cut blanks like that, but you've just got to slow your feed down. You got to let, on a bandsaw, you have to let the blade cut the wood. You can't be forcing it.
Right.
Well, you seen what I did when I forced it. This has got a 7-horse 220 motor on it, which is putting out some pretty good power. I can stop this blade with a blank. If I put too much pressure on it, it'll grab that blade and tear it right off the wheels if I don't stop pushing on it. You gotta just let the saw do the work. It doesn't matter what blade you use, let the saw do the work.
Oh yeah, I do that.
You just got to feed it at the rate that you're feeding it. Now, like on your saw, I would probably go down to a blade, and I'm not sure what kind of saw you have, what brand.
It's a Wind, W-E-N.
Okay. It's a Wind. So this is a 1/4-inch blade. You could probably go down to a 1/4 or 3/8 on your Wind because it's not big and it doesn't have a lot of power.
Right.
And you probably want to go to a 2 or a 3 tooth per inch blade. The more gullet you have, the faster you can cut with it. The tighter the teeth are together, the less it pulls the chips away from there's no room for the chips, is I guess the best way of putting it. It doesn't have a place to get rid of the dust. And that's one of the disadvantages of this table, is it doesn't have a place to get rid of the dust. I've seen guys taking drill holes in here, down in here. It doesn't seem to help. You just got to clean it between cuts. That's all there is to it. Just keep your brush handy. Like my brush hangs right here next to the saw. And before I do another bowl, I would just brush this out. Just to give that blade some relief.
No, I like that guide though.
It's nothing fancy. It's pretty basic.
Are you running a vacuum on your saw when you run the saw?
Yeah, I have a 4-inch dust collector hose that's curled up on the floor at the moment, and the dust collector's right there.
Yeah.
It's about 6 feet away. So normally I would run that, but being that it's a demo, you'd never hear me.
Right.
That 3-horse dust collector you'd never hear anything that I was trying to do, and the vibration would probably vibrate the camera, because it vibrates everything in this shop. It really got a lot of vibration in it.
And dust collection really isn't needed for demoing.
And
Billy
dust-
Bert's got a
Go ahead.
question for you, Scott.
Go for it, Billy.
I didn't know I had a question.
Dane said you had a question.
You said you had a question. Okay, that's fine.
No,
That's fine.
I made a comment, but I didn't say I had a question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you said something about saw blades. But okay.
So
Well, I said I've used a number of brands of bandsaw blades, and for my money, nothing's better than a Timberwolf. I said I'd do.
A lot of folks. I think a lot of folks would agree with that.
Yeah, I think Matt
I use
said
Timberwolf.
Matt or somebody said they used quarter sawn cutoffs, those quarter sawn boards, and I said I do as well. In fact, I'll often resaw mine and make wider book match boards out of them, and I do all kinds of things with them.
Yeah,
jewelry boxes.
It's whatever your mind can come up with.
Yeah, I actually made a plate out of one of those pith bits in the middle that didn't warp.
Yeah, if you
It
cut
didn't
them
warp
right,
or didn't work.
It did not warp.
Wow.
You know.
Oh, okay.
I got lucky.
Yeah, I usually
I thought
cut
you said work.
Yeah, I usually cut the pith out of those boards. I just make 2 boards out of the middle.
Yeah,
piece.
I use it for fine jewelry boxes or spatulas, one or the other.
You can make finials out of them too.
So this is a piece of
Oh, yeah.
catalpa I cut up. This is a piece of catalpa I cut about 6 months ago, maybe. And you can see that it's not warped, and it was green when I cut it. And here's the pith. If it's true quarter sawn, it won't warp. It shouldn't
That's
warp.
what I was thinking too.
If you truly quarter sawed it, like what you see in the books and magazines, it should not warp. Theoretically. Now that's not always true, but it does most of the time hold true. So I got another blank. I don't know how well you guys can see this. This is something Dane and I were talking about the other day when he was helping me set up for this demo. This is a piece of sphalted ash, which I sphalted myself. It wasn't sphalted when I cut it down. It was still very healthy tree. So I sphalted this myself. All you need is beer, sugar, and a drill bit. And a place to put it outside where it stays damp. So I store mine. The beer gives you the yeast and some sugar. And you use the sugar to create more sugar because fungus lives on sugar. So when you want to spalt, it works better if you use green wood or wood that hasn't been kiln dried. You can do it on kiln dried, but it takes a little more work. So what I do is I take and drill holes in the bark, and they're usually a 1/2-inch hole, just whatever I got around that day. And I pack that beer mash into the holes, and I put it under spruce trees for almost, this piece was laying out for almost a year, and you can see that it's spalted. It's spalted in here. And that spalting will actually be up in here. So I found a website that talks about how to spalt stuff. My computer crashed today. So next week I'll put it in the chat, the link to where you can get the article on how to spalt your own wood. But one of the things you have to remember about spalting, you're dealing with fungus. So when you're cutting it, the reason I'm not cutting any for you tonight is you got to wear one of these. Because if that gets in your lungs, you end up with blastomycosis and it'll kill you. In this area of the country, we lose a lot of dogs to blastomycosis because it lives in the leaves and on the ground of rotting soil or rotting wood. It's very dangerous. So if
I
you're going
can
to spalt,
testify to you're being honest, because I have had blastomycosis.
yep, it's a
The
scary
closest to
thing.
death I've ever been.
Yep. If you've had COVID, blasto is worse than COVID. But they don't talk about blasto because it doesn't spread like other things. You have to get it from rotting soil, rotten wood, whatever. Now I've touched this piece tonight. My clothes, I bring a change of clothes to my workshop, keep them in a plastic bag. And I will not walk into my house where my dogs are with the clothes I have on tonight. I'll change my clothes in the workshop before I go back to the house, along with my shoes.
Spalting, that aging.
What kind of mask are you using?
This is a RZ.
Okay.
So it has a high particulate filter on the inside, which is changeable. And it has a washable outside.
You like them?
I love them. I actually have 3 of them.
I have 2.
Can you breathe very well in them?
Yes.
Yes. So they come with different filters. This one is just a plain filter. And then they also come with a charcoal filter.
I use
So
the
if I was
activated
gonna-
charcoal.
Yep. So if I was going to do a lot of stuff that's spalted, I would have my charcoal. I actually have one of these with a charcoal filter in it that I wear when I cut spalted lumber.
What is that thing called?
RZ.
RZ mask.
RZ dust mask.
Yep.
Don't be confused by the, you'll find cheap knockoffs on Amazon. Don't buy them. Buy the RZ.
Don't. Yep.
Okay.
They sell these. I know they sell them at Woodcraft. Our local Ace Hardware sells them, and I don't know if all Ace Hardwares do, but I know the one I have here locally does. And I highly recommend them. I use it for everything. I use it on the lathe. I use it on the table saw. I even use it when I'm outside cutting wood with a chainsaw. Especially if I'm cutting stuff that's rotten.
Based on safety, and I was going to ask Dave about this anyways, maybe people could write in reviews on what they wear as a dust mask so that new turners or even old-time turners can look at the different things and say, okay, this is how much money I have to spend. How good is this mask? Because a lot of times I just don't trust what they have on the internet, and where I would rather trust you guys. So like I know a lot of you have the that one mask that also is a breathing face mask with a breathing apparatus. That's it, Trend mask. There's the RZ mask. I get emails about that all the time. I've got a couple other masks that I can change out the charcoal filters all the time. But, sometimes you just want to cut a piece of wood without your eyes and fogging up, if you know what I'm saying. And I wondered how RZ was doing.
The RZs do not fog up your
Oh, okay.
glasses
No,
Okay.
because they have air valves in them.
right.
That's an air valve. So
That-
to change this, you got to turn this, pull that out, and then it actually is what holding your inside filter in.
And
Okay.
when you exhale, it goes through those little black things.
Yep, and it only goes out on the exhale. It does not come in on the inhale.
No, there's a flapper inside.
There's
Hey,
a
Billy, do you
flapper
have any
gate.
trouble? Excuse me, Billy, do you have any trouble with a beard with that?
Mm-mm.
No,
No,
If you
because it comes in so tight under my chin between my beard itself and how tight I get it when I put it on, nothing's gonna get past that.
yeah, it's Velcro, so it Velcros around you. It's not like what fits over your ears.
Right.
I don't know if you can see that. I can't see my
Yeah.
camera.
Well,
So
I'm glad that you mentioned the RZ mask because I was tempted to buy a couple of those a few months ago.
the other nice thing about RZ is they're 100% made in the USA. They're made in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, that's good.
That's the reason I bought them. That's how I started. I didn't know anything about them. And when I found out they were made in the US, I said, hey, I'm buying one. So they come in a nice bag to store them in. So I store them in my shop like that. And there's a charcoal filter.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's just got a different color. And they come with a charcoal filter. If you want the low restriction, the easier breathing filter, you have to order them separately.
Yeah, I prefer the charcoal filter.
Yeah, I stick with the activated charcoal. That's just me.
Yeah.
I've had bronchitis so many times that I can't breathe through the charcoal ones. I actually feel like I'm suffocating. So one other thing I want to talk about quick. How many of you know that trees also carry arsenic?
What?
And some trees are worse than others. And a lot of you guys turn a tree that's very high in arsenic when it's green.
Walnut.
That's a piece of walnut. This is actually spalted walnut that I spalted myself. So you see all the white is gone. It won't have any white sapwood in it when I turn it. This is one of the most toxic woods that you'll deal with next to the cherry trees that come out of Maine. There are some cherry trees in Maine, and I'm not talking cherries that you eat, cherry trees that are trees, not fruit trees. There's one in Maine that there's so much arsenic in the bark, when you cut it down, it'll absorb through your hands.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, walnut trees will do the same thing when they're green, only when they're green. They lose their toxicity as soon as they become dry. So you'll notice I don't have any bark on any of my walnut. It comes off when it's green because I don't want that arsenic around, because I have dogs. And if a dog chews on that arsenic, which where this tree came from, my cousin's dog chewed on some of the bark and some of the cutoffs when we were cutting walnut trees out of his yard. The dog was on life support for almost 3 weeks.
Oh my
goodness.
It's lucky it didn't die. I mean, it was very close, and it came on within 24 hours.
Boy, you learn something new every day. I had no idea.
Wow.
Yep. So cherry trees, walnut trees, any tree in the apple family, and the apple seeds are terrible bad. Don't let your animals ever eat apple seeds. Those are the worst for arsenic. So all you guys, please be careful when you're playing with your walnut. Wear a respirator. If you're spalting it, for sure wear a respirator if it's spalted like this stuff, even though this is bone dry.
I'm assuming it varies, depends on what part of the country it comes from too, doesn't it?
Nope. Walnut trees, no matter where they come from, are the highest in arsenic, according to the literature I've read.
Yeah, but they have to get it out of the ground. They can't get it any other way, so.
Right. So if you know somebody that's got a walnut tree in their yard, go look at how good the grass grows underneath that walnut tree. It doesn't grow very good.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
And it doesn't grow very good under a true cherry tree either.
And nothing else grows there either.
No, right, Matt. There's nothing else grows there either. So I just want,
Anybody with parrots, do not feed your parrots apple cores. It's because of that. If you got, you know, a parrot, you feed them lots of vegetables and fruits and all of that. If you do your apples, then pull those seeds out before you give the bird that.
You also can't use walnut shavings for horses or any of the animals that comes up through their hoofs.
Yep, that is correct too.
Yep.
So I have a few friends that have horses. They won't even take my shavings because they don't trust that I don't have any cherry or cherry or walnut shavings in the shavings. And I'm really careful. If I know I'm giving it to somebody, I make darn sure there's nothing in there that's toxic.
If you want to get your flowering, if you want to have your if you want to have your flowering plants stop flowering, sprinkle that walnut around them. That will give you, your rose bushes look like a thorn bush. It's very hard on them. And I only read about that. It didn't happen to me.
We have a plant here that crawls in our grass, and we call it Creeping Charlie. When I want to get rid of it, I just take some walnut dust and put over the top of try to find one end or the other of the plant and surround it with some walnut dust. Within a week, it's gone. It dies. So it's an interesting thing. And so there's a lot of other woods out there that are toxic too, but just, you know, if you're not familiar with something, by all means, get out on a website. There's a good website out there that we've talked about it a few times in our meetings. Go look up the toxicity and learn about it. You know, make sure you wash your hands when you're done, because you don't know, especially the exotic stuff, you don't know where it came from or what the toxicity level is, because if you don't know the correct genus name for it, you won't find it.
You know, I must say thank you, because I had no idea about the toxicity levels being that high. And I must say thank you. I appreciate that info.
Yeah.
It's just something to be aware of. You don't have to be scared of it. It's just be aware of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you another piece of wood here that I have. Matt will know what this is. Anybody from the north will know what it is. This is sumac.
Yeah.
So you see it growing alongside the roads in the northern central US.
Isn't that poison?
It is not.
Not okay.
The Native Americans, and the reason I know this, because I have a Native American friend that does this for me. He picks the berries, the red berries that you see on the top of it in the fall.
Yeah.
You'll pick those red berries, he mashes them with a potato masher, and he makes red dye. So the Indian tribes around here, some of their face paint is made from the berries off this tree. It is not toxic. Now, it does cause dermatitis if you look it up on the internet, but just about every wood that you mess with can cause dermatitis. It's just another thing to be careful of. But this stuff is gorgeous when it's turned. It's got natural gold tone with natural green tone. And I'll show some stuff.
Those berries are very high in vitamin C too, if you make tea out of it.
Yes, the Native Americans also drink the tea. So I find it bothers me the most when it's green. So I let it dry before I do anything with it. It tends to give me a rash sometimes if I cut it into blanks when it's green. So I let it dry out. I cut it into chunks like this and let it dry out before I do anything with it.
God, is that staghorn sumac?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't confuse that with poison sumac. There is a poison sumac.
So here's the difference. Poison sumac is a plant. This is a tree. They're totally two different animals. Poison sumac has leaves that oscillate one across from another like a ladder, like a ship's ladder. and it has a white berry in the fall with a white flower in the spring. It's poison sumac. Ask me how I know that.
Western New York, that's all we had was poison sumac. And I wouldn't touch sumac in Florida.
And sumac is like a regular sumac. White and red sumac is like a herringbone.
Yep.
Okay.
So poison sumac, if I get within 3 feet of it or I see it, I got it.
Yep.
It's nasty.
Me
And
too.
it's twice as bad as poison ivy. The only thing I found that's worse than that is poison oak. And I stay away from that too, because I'm a lucky one that's allergic to that too. And I worked 30 years of field road construction. So guess how many years in a row I've had either poison ivy, poison sumac, or poison oak.
2 minutes.
Poison oak is nasty. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I retired last April.
Breathing it.
I retired last April and I had poison oak when I left, and I still have poison oak.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
I can't get rid of it. The doctors can't get rid of it. It comes and goes.
Man,
I've had it so many times it's in my system and it just comes and goes. They treat it like eczema.
Wow.
When I get a bad flare up, they give me antibiotics to keep it out of my blood. And then a week or two it's gone. I just have a scar from it. Like right now it's driving me nuts because it's like 80 degrees in my shop. And the more you sweat, the more it itches.
Yeah.
Don't get in the smoke of it either if they're burning it, because you can get it internally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where is
Unless you
your
don't know it and
that it's 80 degrees?
downstream from it.
What's that, Sue?
Where is your shop that it's 80 degrees?
I have a pellet stove in my shop that runs on heat setting 1, and it's 80 degrees. Right now I'm looking at the thermometer and it's 80 degrees in here.
Okay.
And once you get the shop warm because of the size of it, and I get all the cast iron machines warm, they're just like radiators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's a good problem to have in that cold weather up there.
Yep. So the last 3 days, just so in case anybody hasn't been watching our lovely weather, it rained. It's been in the 40s and rained here for the last 3 days.
Oh, that's awful.
So tonight at midnight, we go in a winter storm warning, and we're gonna get 5 to 8 inches of snow in 12 hours.
Oh my.
And then I'm sending it to Matt because he's across the pond from me.
Yeah,
located?
I'm watching that sucker, dude. It's coming.
No warning.
And Dane, I feel sorry for you. I hope you make it to where you're going.
Yeah, I know. I had to modify my luggage because I packed some sweaters this time, and so now I don't have that many clothes for my next John up there. So, but whatever, I'm going to be warm, so I don't care.
So does anybody else want to see something made into a circle, or did everybody get the general idea?
No good. Do it again. Do it again.
Yeah, Brenda.
Do it again. Do it again.
Well, I can do it again. That's not a
Scott?
problem. Yeah.
Scott, you did an excellent demo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, very
You did an
informative.
excellent demo.
So this is the first demo I've done on Zoom, obviously. I teach classes for guys around here that contact me that know that I turn wood. So I usually only teach 2-on-1, because 2-on-1 or 1-on-1 because of the size of my shop. And I only have a 10-inch mini lathe, so right now. And I have a 9-inch, 42-inch bed Dunlop that I've restored, which is piled with so much stuff you couldn't see it if you wanted to, because I don't use it anymore. I turn all my stuff, all my 8 inches or bigger, I turn on my mini lathe, which is probably going to blow up one of these days. But my jet's pretty tough. I've turned some stuff on it that probably I shouldn't have been doing. But hopefully I get a lathe.
This is a wonderful, this has been a wonderful demo, because we have a lot of people who use bandsaws every day. And God bless you. This was fantastic.
Amen.
So I cut lumber with a friend of mine with a Wood Miser sawmill for almost 8 years, probably. We had our 10,000 board foot drying kiln. We dried our own lumber. So that's where I've learned a lot of this, thanks to him. So, you know, I got to give him a little bit of a shout out. I know he doesn't do this anymore, and I don't even know if he's around the area anymore. But you know, I like to share what I've learned.
Well, you're doing a great job, that's for sure.
Yes.
Well, that's good. So I talked to Dane, and if you guys are interested later this summer, I'll show you how to split logs. So I'm going to show you some that I split that I'm not going to try to cut up today. If you can see those logs right there, those two halves were one log.
Oh my
bottom
goodness.
ones. That's a piece of Siberian elm. The stump was 48 inches across. This log came 20 feet in the air. And that's the only reason I took it, because I knew it didn't have any nails in it. And when those are 18-inch, I'll get 18-inch bowl blanks out of those if I so choose.
You cut those on the bandsaw?
And I will cut those all up on that bandsaw you just seen me use.
How many inch bandsaw is that?
It's a 19-inch throat.
Okay.
So that's 19 inches from the blade to the upright, and I have a 12-inch rip.
Okay.
So these blanks will actually, that piece of sphalted I just showed you, this is the other half. This is going to be my crotch bowl. Sorry, Brenda.
Don't have to apologize to me.
But that's going to be the blank for my crotch bowl. It'll be a piece of sphalted ash. And before I clean up tonight, that'll get cut into probably 2 bowl blanks, maybe 3, depending on how lucky I get. But you can see these. Hang on a second. I'm going to set you over there.
Looks like a table saw.
Yep. That's my Powermatic 66. So Dane and I talked on Tuesday. After I got off the phone with him, I ran a crappy board through it, and I broke all 3 belts on that bugger.
Oh
now I get to tear it all apart, try to put 3 belts on that I can barely see. But that's that's a nasty table saw. That's got a 5-horse 220 motor on it. It don't stop for nothing. And then I got back there's, that's my Craftsman 10-inch. You can see my pellet stove running there in the background. I also have a gas heater up on the ceiling, which is only for backup in case I'm not home to feed the stove. And there's a sandblasting cabinet in my giant mess. Most of that's all bowl blanks. So I don't have a lot of place to put stuff. That's all my bowl blanks all stacked up all over the place.
I understand completely.
Yeah.
So I mean, every inch of my shop has got something in it. There's my flatboard rack. The blower I showed you the other day that I'm not putting away because I decided I'm going to hang that from the ceiling. Since it can take a 12-inch filter, I'm going to build a box and hang it from the ceiling so I don't lose any ceiling height.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This shop was actually an old barn that I tore down and reconstructed. So it's got 10-foot 6-inch ceilings in it, which is really nice.
Oh yeah.
So, and I got a TV on the wall. So I'm out here when my wife and I are both retired. So this is my cave and the basement is her cave. So that's my shop. So here, back to this wood, you can see how big this is.
Yes.
That's a heck of a slab. I was going to try to cut some of that up for you guys tonight, but I can barely lift that because it's green. Obviously, it's green. We just cut this about 3 weeks ago. So it'll sit here in my shop for a week or two, come down to 20%, and then I'll start cutting blanks out of it, or start cutting rough blanks out of it. And then they get piled up down there. So I paint the ends of my blanks like this one that I just cut up for you guys. Sorry about walking around. But I go to the local Home Depot. I'll set you down so it's not so shaky. I go to the local Home Depot and I walk through their clearance bin where people bring old paint back that's the wrong color. And that's what I use to paint the ends of my logs because it's cheap and it works.
Yeah,
Good idea.
I use the same thing.
That's latex paint?
That's late. It doesn't matter. I use latex or oil. It doesn't really matter.
Good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
And sometimes if you go to Walmart and you hit the right person, you can get it for almost nothing. I mean, you can pay just a few dollars for a gallon of paint. I'm going to flip you back around so I can see you guys. So you can see I got quite a mess back there too. But I also, one of the things I like to do is restore tools. So I restore a lot of tools. A lot of guys bring me tools that break and I restore them if they don't want them back. I have a friend that's got way too much money and he makes, his brother owns a business that creates 72-inch saw blades for the lumber companies. So he builds their wooden racks and they all have to be sanded. They're all AC plywood and they have to be sanded smooth. Don't ask me why. So he goes through sanders like crazy. So he brings me his sanders that usually needs new brushes. And then I donate them to somebody who doesn't have the money to buy one.
Nice.
So I fixed that. The word got out that I do that, and that's what I do for hobby as well.
I have a question on the masks.
Sure.
For the RZ masks I've been on their website, they've got a M2 and an M2.5. Is there a difference and which one is better?
I have the M2s, I believe.
Yeah,
and I've
both of
never
mine are
tried the
M2s.
5, so I don't know. I
I'm
couldn't
wondering
tell
if
you
it's
about
the filtration quality.
It's probably just a version number. I don't know.
I think it's just a version number. I think they have different airports. I think the way their air valves work in the M25s are they're either a little bigger or a little smaller. I don't remember exactly. I know somebody that has one, but I don't guess I never paid that much attention.
I think the M25 has 2 straps in the back.
Yeah, could be. I think I have one of them around here too, but I like the single strap. And it's got a piece, and it's got elastic in it.
The difference
put
is
it
that
on for you.
material that the front's made out of.
Yep.
Like,
so you were asking Billy, I have a beard too.
Yeah.
You can see how tight that is on my face.
Yeah.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you put it on, it's tight.
And you can still breathe.
Absolutely. Not a
Fantastic.
problem.
Yep. The M25 has 2 straps instead of the Velcro.
Okay.
Yep. It's just personal preference.
Which one have you got, Billy?
I actually have an M1 and an M2.
Okay.
Billy, do they still make the M1?
I don't know if they still make them or not. The M1 is neoprene instead of the woven fabric.
Okay.
Front.
That's what mine is, yeah.
I got an
This is a
M1, but
woven-
it's not a mask.
This is a woven fabric, and I like it because it can be washed. You can take it apart and throw it in the wash machine.
It is cool.
Excellent.
It looks like on their website right now, the red is on sale.
Yep. They have sales.
Who cares about the color?
That's what I'm wondering about. Yeah, because it's like $10 cheaper for the red.
You notice mine is neon yellow?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Sale.
So I can find it.
There you go.
Good point.
Didn't have anything to do with the sale. It's so I can find it. 'Cause I got safety glasses, I got eyeglasses, I got reading glasses. There's probably 10 pair of reading glasses in here if I went to look for them.
Rod says red doesn't go well with his eyes.
Okay, you're saying check on the website. In the chat, I saw Amazon. Is that the website you're talking about, Or
No,
a
I'm
different?
on the rzmask.com.
Yep, I buy them right factory direct.
Okay, RZMask.
rzmask.com.
And all of
Okay.
a sudden, they're gonna wonder why they have hundreds of orders.
This,
Oh,
if they're
That's in
watching,
that's in the chat too.
if they're watching, they're free to sponsor me.
There you go.
This is my M1.
Somebody click up Billy.
I don't see a Billy.
Test. You got me there, Dane. This
There
is
you
my
go.
this is my M1.
I like it.
It's neoprene.
Is that so you can scare the evil spirits out of your shop?
I actually bought it because it was on sale. I didn't really care what it looked like, but I did like the P40 on the front. I mean, the P40 Shark on the front. So
yeah.
How is that to breathe through, Billy? I have some neoprene masks that I wear for hunting, and sometimes they're hard to breathe through, and they're hot.
It's just as good.
Well, let's take a vote on the appearance.
It's
I
hot.
could see why it was on sale.
Right. See, but it's just as easy, Scott. It's just.
I
as
don't
easy
see
to
a
breathe
difference
through.
here.
It's just as easy to breathe through as my M2. Because
ask
it's all, I make saline here.
Yep.
And when I inhale, there's little holes down here where the clear air comes from or comes in.
Yep, comes in the bottom. Yep.
Yeah, and it works great. This is all I use when I'm outside doing yard work, and my other one stays in the wood shop, and I use it for that.
So Billy knows what I'm talking about here. I have cold-induced asthma. So when it gets in the teens here or colder, I have to wear one of these outside.
I have
I have to wear a
allergy-induced.
mask like, yep.
Yeah, I have
Mine's
allergy-induced
cold-induced.
asthma,
All right.
so
That's
So
good to
guys,
know, guys. That's
We're
really
all-
so
good to know.
everybody, is there any more questions about the demo tonight?
I have a
Yeah.
question about the sumac.
Sure.
Okay.
What about African sumac? That's what we have in Arizona.
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm
Well,
not familiar
I
with
turn
it
it all
either.
the time. I've not had any problem with it. We have it in the Phoenix area, and when you put it, it's the color like yours is when you work it. And after you get through, you put it in the sun, and it takes heat also, and it'll turn a bright red, a real pretty red.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
that's
But
cool.
not,
do the
it's not
leaves
only
look-
infrared,
What
but
do
it
the
takes the
leaves
heat.
look like?
Pardon?
What do the leaves look like? Because I'm not familiar with it out here.
I cannot answer that. I've not seen it with the leaves. Truthfully, I've just gotten the wood and use it. And I really like turning it because it really makes a beautiful color when you turn it out and put it in the sun.
I'm going to have to go look that up later.
I would
And
be
so
very
you- and
interested
so
to
you
know
think-
what you. Pardon me,
So you
Dean?
think it's called African
it's-
sumac?
African sumac. And they have it all over the valley here in Phoenix, and I've used it several times. I've just finished a couple of wine glasses, or 3 or 4 of them with it, and they're gone. I'd bring one to show you.
So here, if you want to highlight me again, Dean, here's what ours
Yeah,
looks
you're
like
there.
here.
You're
So
highlighted.
there's what
There,
it
look.
looks like here.
Oh,
After
Looks a
you
lot
cut the
like
bark
olive.
off.
That look-
Red blank. Yeah.
That's
It's
a
a lot
pen
like
blank. Yep.
olive.
So, and if somebody can guess what that is, I'll send them that blank.
Poplar.
It's like poplar.
Not poplar.
Not poplar. No.
Really?
Nope.
I have no idea.
It's purple and white.
It look purple.
It's purple and white.
Juniper?
Nope.
Is it juniper?
It's naturally. Nope.
No,
What
it's
is
not
it?
cedar. It's not a pine tree. It's not a pine
This
tree.
is something that we see here a lot in the north. Matt's probably got some in his yard because I got some. That's where this came from. This is purple lilac.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Really?
Lilac.
That's nice.
Cool.
And it's
Lilac
purple
is a
inside.
hardwood?
So are you telling me the different colors of lilac, you have different colors of wood?
Everything but the white. The white is purple inside.
Okay.
The darker the purple on the lilac, the darker the purple is in the wood itself.
In
And
Rochester, New York, and I'm not up there anymore, but they always had a lilac festival in the spring. So I wonder what all the wood would look like. You know, I've gotten bad and I look at a tree and all I look at is possibilities.
Yeah. What's the wood look like?
Exactly. Right, Brenda.
So most of the lilacs don't really get big enough probably to make a bowl a lot of. They might make a small round box.
Yeah.
But they make beautiful pens.
My lilac bush is in trouble.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Scott, what size RZ do you wear? Michelle's
Hang on
asking.
a second.
I wear an extra large.
She was asking you, Billy.
She said you guys.
I have an extra large, Billy.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
It goes
So
if you
like now you're looking at me, guys. Am I going to wear a medium large? Because I have no beard unless I grow it.
But the beard doesn't have anything to do with what size I
got
get.
nothing to do with it.
I've got a fat head, so.
So Sue,
I think I wear a medium large or what?
So Sue, on their
Well, all
website,
we ever see is your head and
they actually
shoulders.
do it by body weight.
You know, that's a purpose for that. I
agree.
So when I bought these, they asked. So when I bought these, they asked for body weight.
Really?
I would say you're a medium. So
I would say
probably
you're
a
a
small
medium to a
medium.
large.
Okay, well, that's what I was thinking.
What's your
medium
body
to-
weight got to do with it?
It's the
because it has to do with BMI going around your face and your head.
BMI going around your face. Yep.
And the thing is that my butt is what the BMI is. Butt and thigh. Face has nothing to do with it.
So Sue, your face, Sue, your face looks a lot like my wife's face.
Okay.
And she's kind of trapped between the medium's a little tight, and the large is not too loose, but she has to tighten it up more. You know, that's the nice part about the Velcro.
On the website,
if you buy it, you can always send it back.
That's right.
On their website, there's a page that shows how to get their dimensions and which size that it is.
Okay. That's
Michelle says you measure from the bridge of your nose to your chin. And that's what the bottom of your chin. That's what the website shows.
Yeah.
I can do
And mine, it measures 5.5 to 6. So I wear an extra large.
All right.
Michelle says she measures 5. That would be a large.
Sue, I can tell right now you're 4 1/4.
Thanks, Dane. I feel petite.
And so I say that. And so I say that because of all my years in chem warfare, and I fitted over 10,000 people with gas masks.
Gotcha.
So
I wore a gas mask once upon a time, but you know, guys, that was almost 45 years ago. But we won't go there.
No, we won't.
I've had gas.
All right, we got a couple more galleries to get to. So if there's
we only got a few minutes, folks.
If there's no more questions,
don't give it away.
All right.
Thanks for your demo, Scott.
Thanks for letting me do a demo.
That was fantastic.
Absolutely. Craig,
Thanks,
you still got your piece you want to show?
Sure. I got 2 pieces. You got me?
We got you.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. This right here is one that I was talking about playing with the coffee.
Oh yeah.
You guys went through that. Also on the inside, these cracks that were here and there, I filled those with coffee and super glue.
Nice.
And another one there. But
I like that bottom.
oh, thank you.
I do like the bottom.
Yes.
Well, like I said before, I like to do the bottom as decorative as the top. And this one came out real nice.
Yes, it did.
This one here was actually a piece I did about 2 years ago, but it was grained. So when I put it back on my Nova, I had to re-round it and everything. I left it about, I don't know, about 1/4, 3/8 inch thick. And now it's down to about an 1/8 inch wall, or not eight, well, somewhere between an 1/8, maybe a little bit smaller in some parts.
Nice.
Absolutely beautiful.
That's
So
nice.
Durable.
I like the bottom on that too.
Yes.
And but I was really happy. This is more fogwood. I'm not sure what it is, but
Good looking wood.
yeah, it came out nice. It's real light.
Yeah.
The only reason that things aren't finished is you guys got me interested in shellac now. So I got my shellac shavings and my scale is on its way, so I can do some proper weighing and mixing and everything.
Yeah.
And you did say that 91%, 93% isopropyl is good to go for the shellac.
Sure.
Is that what I remember you all
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, it'll melt the flakes. Preferably if you can get denatured alcohol.
Right.
Unless you're in California.
So what I use Everclear alcohol. Now you've just made it food safe.
Did you taste sample it first?
Sure, why not?
I was gonna say I wouldn't get too much use in my shellac with the Everclear.
Well, it's just making it food safe. If you want a food safe option, because shellac is naturally food safe by itself. And if you use Everclear alcohol that you get in a grocery store, and make sure you buy Everclear, it has to be the Everclear type, and it'll make it food safe once it's dry.
Oh, I thought anything with of an alcohol evaporates and everything, so it'd still be food safe, but that's not true.
So denatured alcohol, if you would happen to drink denatured alcohol, you're going to be permanently blinded for the rest of your life if it doesn't kill you.
Right, but doesn't it
You'll be
evaporate, or is there something left from that denatured alcohol?
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
alcohol will evaporate, but chemicals that makes it unsafe to drink will not.
Okay, all right.
The heavy metals in it will not.
Okay.
That's the same thing with tongue oil. If you buy tongue oil or boiled tongue oil or boiled linseed oil, that also has heavy metals in it and is not safe. You have to buy 100% pure linseed oil or tongue oil.
Right.
Oh, so not boiled. Okay.
Yeah.
Not boiled, not processed. It has to say unrefined.
Or pure.
Okay.
My tongue oil says pure. But 100% pure tongue oil, yes.
Nice. Lessons learned. Thank
Or
you.
pure. Yep.
Yeah.
We learn
Right on.
every day. And that's what
There's always something being passed on. I tell you, folks. All right, we're going to go back to Matt Harbor because my daughter would like to see his gnome. Matt.
Well, I
I
tell
get
you what,
water
you open
hard.
up a can you can't handle.
I
Now
got
you gotta hold
snowmen
it over
back
in your
there
light.
too. I
You
got
gotta hold it
snowmen
over in
back
your
there.
light.
There you go.
There we go.
Beautiful.
He's a cutie.
He is a cutie. He's a
I
cutie.
got all
but
different colors of beards too. So I don't know if you can see, but there's more of them down here.
It's a cutie patootie, Matt. Really.
Yeah, it's a good looking gnome. That's one of your better looking gnomes.
Oh my God,
Yes.
it's adorable. I want one.
So my daughter
Oh, cool.
says,
Thank
it's
you very
adorable.
much. You guys got to see me make him. So
Yeah.
So now she can make one.
that's right.
Either that or
Right.
you need to send one today.
Dane, if she likes gnomes, you can show her these.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you
a-
got gnomes up, Billy?
It's a lovely
Yeah.
gnome, Matt. It
All
really
right.
is.
Hey, Matt, thank you.
Yeah, my
All right,
pleasure.
Billy.
Thank you.
All right.
Ooh, I like
Billy.
that. Billy, what's? Oh, I like that.
Oh my goodness.
These are my Star
My-
Trek gnomes.
It
Oh, those are
reminds me of
dwarf elms.
Those
Dwarf.
are, those are
kettle.
Don's
My
full
Star
size.
Trek note. You see,
in the
you see,
movie.
you see Spock's ears?
Ah,
Yeah, that's all wood.
Yeah, I scrolled
All right.
this.
And I gotta take
So-
one too.
It still looks like Ma and Pa kettle from the 1950s and
Well,
60s.
no, see the Star Trek emblem in their hats?
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it
So-
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is Uhura. This,
I don't remember her with those boobs. Nice. Nice.
this is Captain Kirk, and this is Spock.
Captain Kirk,
I
Spock.
like it.
Where's
Oh
Bo?
my God.
Red shirts always die
What
Where's
happened to
where's Scotty
Meat
at?
Boy?
Hey,
Hey,
where's
Dane?
Scotty at?
I only made 3.
Oh,
Dan?
yeah.
They all
I have
look
one too.
great.
I have one too I want to show.
All right.
Okay.
Let me,
No-
get to you,
Another
Scott.
gnome.
Those are so cute.
Here I am.
Oh my God.
All right, so
So this-
Scott.
So this one's gonna be it.
oh.
As in
Yeah.
cousin it.
Yes.
And cousin it. I just gotta
Oh my
glue the beard
God.
on him.
Yeah, well,
That's
right
too
now.
Yes.
funny.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Too
Doesn't
funny.
it?
That's good.
Love it.
Scott.
No
Perfect.
lies, no smile,
Captain it
Yep.
to a T,
right?
if you will.
All right, anyone else want to show their gnomes?
Oh, goodness.
My.
Remember, we're gonna have a gnome challenge on St. Patty's Day.
And
A
I
real
have
close to it.
I have a special one in mind too.
Yep, me
All right.
too.
Okay, hey, look, one note. Is Donald with us tonight from Australia?
He left
Austra-
early on.
He
left early on.
I thought I saw
But I got a
him.
note. He says,
here.
save the chat. Save it
Amen.
right now.
Before
There's a
we
lot of
start,
info in the chat.
There he
thanks,
is.
Doug. There he is. We
So-
have Doug Lowe online too.
You're muted, Donald.
Thanks,
All right.
Donald.
Don't forget,
But
save the chat because I saw
So-
some demos, some RDIs that popped up in the chat tonight. I mean, yeah, some RDIs and other information. Ton of information tonight, really. I mean, you saw how to make probably a half a dozen tools tonight on this in this meeting. And we'll have more of the information on our website. That's where it goes. We have
Yeah.
the world's, no doubt about it, we have the world's greatest wood
Oh, I
turning
made that
website,
one.
and it's due to a great wood website master, Dave Rhodes, and he puts it in there. This entire meeting will be there within 15 minutes.
Hey,
Unbelievable.
hey, everybody, I will not be here next week. I will be back up in Kentucky for the week.
No.
Yeah,
Dane will miss you, buddy. We'll really
I
miss
miss
you.
him too.
Don't forget to deduct his pay.
Ah.
yeah, right.
Oh yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Anyways,
Don't let him
Yeah,
go.
you guys are brutal.
I love
we
it.
are.
I love it.
But
Just
we
glad
love
I'm
you,
not.
Dane.
Just glad I'm not
90%.
going to have a demo scheduled next week.
Uh-oh, we got
Oh.
trouble.
No demo.
Eddie,
Uh-oh.
Eddie, we all love you. I'm glad you're online.
Scott, can you do it again?
Do it again.
Yeah.
What would
Yeah.
Next week.
you
Scott,
like
come
to
back
see,
and do it
Brenda?
again next week.
What-
Coring system. The coring system.
I don't have a coring system.
Brenda, I will do a coring thing when I get back. I
Okay.
promise.
Scott, can you make a cowboy hat?
Can't do that either.
Dang
Nope.
it. I have no.
I
idea.
am trying to
we
make a
don't-
bentwood hat, but not a cowboy hat.
You
We-
guys
Somebody
can make
needs to
gnomes
talk
but
to
not
the
cowboy
captain
hats?
because he's made
Gotta
cowboy.
have sopping wet green.
Made
wood,
88.
fresh.
Oh, to be
And-
able to manipulate
and-
it, right?
Yes.
Which he's got to go next week and get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hope you're feeling better, Cap. I'm gonna leave
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you, Sue.
Care,
Thank
buddy.
you. Oh, I tell you what, y'all make my week. I mean, I don't want to shut this down. I want to go in the shop and play with something. I mean, you've
Yes.
shown
We got
tonight.
jigs to make.
Tonight we've seen jigs that you would pay for and you'd love to have, but you can go make them in your shop.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of this. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Scott, others that had shared with us tonight. That's why we're here. We're here to share wood turning. No commercials. We get close on bad talk. No commercials or anything else. But it's just a bunch of friends sitting on a tailgate enjoying wood turning. I hope you all come back with us next week. Bring a friend. Really, I mean it. Bring a friend.
Bring a friend, tell a friend.
Yeah. And tell you what, if you bring a friend, it'll be free. How's that?
Yeah,
How's
right?
that?
Nice.
Such a
All
deal.
right.
That's
That's a
nice.
deal. Save the chat,
Admission's
folks.
free.
Take
Good night.
care,
Be
you
sweet.
Night.
Bye.
And we really just don't bring anyone like Quintessa.
We need you around
Take
it.
care.
Night all.
Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Love y'all.
Night
too.
all.
Bye bye.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
Heather.
Wiedersehen. Ching chong
Take care,
down.
Christine.
Later.
Choose.
Cheers.
Night,
Cheers.
John boy.